Nobody cared who I was till I put on the mask. Oh. Howdy, hey, won't you join me today? I am the Dandalorian. We are streaming. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I always wear a mask. Deal with it if you don't like it. Part-time streamer, all-time pain in the ass. God, yeah. Just ask my spouse. Let's see. Oh, you know what? That was a good color. Hold on. There we go. That's nice. I'll roll with that. Okay. Ugh. Just getting myself comfortable. Had to put my makeup on. Look nice for y'all. For anyone that's watching. We got anyone watching? Chat's open. Say something if you're in here. Are you in here? Anyone? Alguien está aquí? Inverted Mystic. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I just saw your chat. Why isn't it showing it up in the thing? Hold on. Vanta, nice to see you, buddy. Inverted, I don't know why you weren't showing up in the chat. You're both in the Twitch. Okay. Let me kill the music. We'll get started. Alrighty. Midweek recap. Everything's been insane. Donald Trump just tanked the economy. It's going to collapse. I've never seen a depression this forced. Now, a lot of people are reporting, and I think Phil's going to talk about it, is that a similar situation happened in the 30s, right after the Depression kicked in. And I think it was Truman. Don't quote me on that. It was a shitty president that decided to do... Oh, for real, Inverted. Hold on, are you guys... Okay, everything's... Let me get back into my main screen. Yeah, everything looks like it's showing up now. Let me max this. There we go. Now I can see y'all. Oh, that's beautiful. That's fucking gorgeous. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Trump's making everything great. He's making best country around. Also, like and subscribe if you would be so kind. I do appreciate it. Yeah, so... This tariff shtick that he's doing right now, absolute disaster. For those of you that are new or haven't been, or don't really know anything about me, I have a background in retail finance. You don't need that kind of background to see how fucking awful what he's doing is. This is a disaster. Like, this isn't even a forced error. This is, as everything he's doing, attacking Americans. He is decimating our economy. I was telling a friend of mine today, he might show up in a little bit, goes by D. I was telling him the only way to, at this point, mitigate what the damage they've done in the last 2.5 months. Immediate impeachment and removal of Trump, the entire administration, instill a temporary government. Someone mentioned putting Bernie and Mike Pence in charge, like a president VP thing, while we set up new elections. Do it. That'll work. That'll be a... Oh, let me pull this down a little bit. I'm going to clean this up. There we go. Oh, yeah. Daddy-like. Oh, that's perfect. So good. A temporary government while we have new elections. It just needs to be done. Republicans have killed all sentiment and any sort of, like, the illusion's gone. Like, the Republicans have gone mask off. They're ready. They're ready to kill government. They want a leader. They want a dictator. They're going to have Trump for the interim, but none of them really like him. He's old. He's going to pass away from old age soon enough, and he's going to burn everything down on his way out, and then we're going to have just a dictator running things. Disaster. Where was I? But yeah, to mitigate things. Temporary government, set up new elections. Trump, Vance, pretty much all of the admin needs to be turned over to the International ICC. For crimes against humanity, various violations and abuses, and just tried and imprisoned. They're not going to let go of power, though. They've already signaled, we're going to hold on for dear life. We're not going to give up anything. We'll send the military on you. We'll send the marshals, the National Guard, obviously the local police. ICE is the new Gestapo. They're all doing whatever they want. And they're just ready to do what they're doing, which is seize control. If you can't tell, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like dictatorships at all, whether it's left or right. I think they're very bad. Although in this case, it's an exceptionally stupid dictatorship. They don't know what they're doing. Until Trump became president in 2016, I never said with... Well, not recently. I'll tell you what. When you're a 15-year-old edgelord, you're like, yeah, why doesn't one person run the country? They know better than everyone else. Yeah. And it's like, no. But again, I'm in my 30s. I'm not 15 anymore. That being said, so until 2016, until Trump, I never confidently thought that I would absolutely be better than whoever's president. I 100% know I would be a better president than Donald Trump. Doesn't know what he's fucking doing. He's going to kill a lot of people. A lot of Americans are going to die from this son of a bitch. They've already been dying. There have been multiple suicides, both job-related and policy-related. There was a trans activist that, I don't know if they lit themselves on fire, but basically, a few weeks into the admin, they were like, they're going to come kill us all. And they killed themselves because of depression. The man has cut the VA suicide helpline. How do you do that? There's no rhyme or reason to any of this. Doge is not finding they're not finding fraud. They're just cutting federal workers. They're just cutting them. I don't know if you saw, I posted on my Blue Sky, and some of my friends I've talked to, my spouse is getting terminated. They have been terminated. They busted their ass for that job for a decade, to get that position, to be where they're at. It was the dream job. It was the retirement job. They were going to be getting a promotion this year. And instead, we're now a single income family household. And that's really offends me. And let me just say this. I told it to Dee earlier today. It was if they had to give up their job and never get it back, but it meant that all the people that had been fired get their jobs back in their exact same positions, their exact same pays, and then things just proceed as they were, I would take that trade in a heartbeat. There are sacrifices that need to be made. And right now, we're losing cancer research. We're losing the national parks. We're losing library funding. We're losing help paying your bills, energy. And And Elon is like, I found all this money. It's $500 billion. It's like, you didn't find anything, buddy. You stopped funding the things we were paying for them. And the things we were paying for them were helping Americans. Inverted, I can't tell if you're messing. I feel like you're messing with me right now. my point stands. By the way, I do these. This is my thing. A mask and rants. I go on rants. This $500 billion in federal funding spending. And the Republicans know nothing's getting saved. They know people that do their jobs are just losing their jobs because a gross billionaire man-child with a broken penis and a fetish for IVF is just firing things he doesn't like or he feels are a threat to him. There's no funding. Again, no funding being found, no funding going towards anything else. It's coming from the services you use daily. We are less because of it. Federal spending is up. The IRS is going to collect 10% less revenue this year because they've been slashed. We are being decimated in real time as a country in a way that we've never truly been hurt before. The only upside to this whole thing is, and I've said this before, is that with the way Kamala was projecting her type of leadership, if she had gotten elected, it would have been 4 more years of the same. And then we would have been in the exact same boat in 4 more years. So God willing, we can learn some lessons now. The Dems are trying very hard not to learn any lessons. They want to repeat these mistakes until America is truly finally done. And if we are able to pull a victory from the jaws of defeat here, We'll be lucky. It will require insane effort, and we will still ultimately have lost so much at the end of the day. And every day this admin's in power, we are losing more and more and more. I mean, it was the last election, yeah. Like, if we're lucky, we'll have elections in 2 years. Trump isn't going to give up power. And it's clear that the military will defend him until he dies. Like, and then he'll appoint a successor, and the military will likely keep following them. Like, they've already signaled, like they're in the pocket of the admin. They're not willing to fight for America. They're done with America as the land of the free and home of the brave. It's now the lockstep and cowardly, unfortunately. So I brought you all here to watch some videos. We're going to start with Philly D with the news. I'm going to check a few more things while we do that, and let's dive in.
Elon Musk just failed to essentially buy an election, with Democrats winning huge in Wisconsin, and what that really exposes. Trump's Liberation Day tariffs are officially here, and buckle up. Cory Booker's record-breaking speech has sent shockwaves, and then some good news to help.
It was a cute speech, but like
all that and much
they started voting for more of his administration like right afterwards. Like, come on.
Starting with this.
Like,
Elon
get it
Musk
together.
Failed to essentially buy an election yesterday, and in general, Democrats came out of a series of elections.
Banta, thank you again for coming in, man. I love your Tesla work. It's
how
great.
Much momentum really, and can it
like,
actually
your posts are awesome.
Wins in 2026. And so where I'll start is with easily the most high stakes and important of the races, and that was a Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin that would determine whether the court retains its 4-3 liberal majority or.
Hakeem needs to step down too. He's pissing me off again. He's been pissing me off nonstop.
Control of Congress, because the liberal court could potentially redraw congressional maps that give the GOP 6 of the state's 8 House seats. And what we ultimately saw there was the liberal candidate, Susan Crawford,
this was great. I did love this.
Opponent Brad Schimmel. Or with most of the votes in, Crawford has taken a solid 10-point lead, beating out Schimmel 55-45 as of recording. And that is just so significant for a number of reasons.
It was a good win. It was a good win.
We're talking about a big margin in a state that Trump actually won in 2024. And I mean, it's a state that has also been decided by less than 1 point in the last 3 presidential elections. With that said, I need to note that Democrat-aligned
substantial
candidates
shift.
won Wisconsin Supreme Court races by similar margins in recent years, but the turnout in this race makes it especially notable. The turnout was just over 2.3 million, and that's more than the 1.8 million voters who showed up during a 2023 Wisconsin Supreme Court race that became a referendum on abortion. And in fact, the turnout from this special election wasn't too far off from the numbers we saw in the last midterm elections, when there were many important and competitive statewide races that ultimately brought out 2.6 million voters. But again, with all that, you have experts saying that it is very difficult to really view this election as a major referendum on Trump's first months in office that will accurately predict anything about the midterms. But one thing that was very clear is that Crawford's win, it was a definite rebuke of at least one major pillar of the Trump administration, Elon Musk. Because Elon, he tied himself to this race very, very closely, spending a ton of political and monetary capital trying to get Schimmel elected.
You just get fish. I don't play Minecraft that often.
The fact that Tesla has
I get really fucking drunk to play Minecraft.
Could end up before the state Supreme Court. Right? And not only did Musk pour more than $25 million into this election, making him by far the biggest spender in what became the most expensive judicial race in U.S. history, he also actively campaigned for Schimmel in public appearances, posted about the race constantly on X, offered people money,
look at this fucking nerd,
signed petitions, and gave out questionably legal $1 million checks to voters. But it appears that potentially backfired, with the New York Times explaining
they were also Republican plants.
Referendum on Mr. Trump's White House and abortion rights, Wisconsin Democrats pivoted to make Mr. Musk their entire focus, while Republicans rode the wave of his largest. Right, his generosity.
Is that an update, or is that like a whole new like expansion?
Democrats one of the best
there was the
gifts. A great.
Wasn't there a Minecraft Lego expansion, or they're working on the Minecraft Lego game?
Conservative candidates as a way to mobilize against them. Though that obviously didn't work in 2024. In fact, Democrats actively seemed to shy away from highlighting his connections to Schimmel due to fears that it would actually have the opposite effect and energize pro-Trump voters. And this is, despite what he may think, Musk is not Trump. He has clearly upset a number of voters with his Doge shit, and
he's uncharismatic as fuck, and he's a piece of shit.
Wisconsin and national. And so as one Democratic strategist put it, he's good foil. Trump is a good foil in many ways, but at the end of the day, a lot of people voted for Trump. Nobody voted for Elon Musk, and especially...
So real quick, with how my spouse was fired, like, Elon wasn't directly responsible in this case, but his actions have allowed for what's going on in the federal government to happen, like, basically uncontested. So, real quick update. So, again, by the end of this year, the federal government's going to be reduced to around 1 million employees. They're trying to get to 500,000 by the end of the year, but I don't think they can move even that fast. They're trying, though. So, it'll be down to 1 million. There'll be 1.2 million cut. By the end of this administration, if not the end of next year, their end goal is like 200,000 federal employees. That's woefully little. We will become a nation run by corporations, the corrupt, the depraved, the criminal, all at the mercy of the most powerful. That's where this shit's going. And Donald Trump will be the most powerful because he'll have the military, which will be the last big arm of the government. Like, well, it's already the biggest arm of the government, but he'll control all of it, like in perpetuity. They'll have routed out anyone that would say anything against him. It will be cooked by then. Again, actions need to be taken. Chuck Schumer needs to step down. It goes without saying, but it has to be said apparently. Jeffries too. The Republicans aren't a political party anymore. They are a bunch of rabid dogs. Need to be stopped. So let's keep watching.
The outsized role he's played. Now, of course, with that, it is impossible to say how much of a role Musk played in swaying this election. Though I will say, very notably, Republicans did worse in the Supreme Court race than in the other statewide election for superintendent of public instruction.
Are the biomes like, so okay, are they...
Saying, the outcome here, it is evidence that they're anti-Musk messaging. It's a fact.
Are they DLC or they're just patches now?
Feel this as well. And I say that in part because today we saw reports that Trump is telling people in his inner circle, including members of the cabinet, that Musk will be stepping
I don't
back
disagree.
From his current role in the weeks. The Politico, which
my position is neoliberalism is what's killing the country, and libertarians are just
increasingly view the billionaire as a political liability. Now, as far as what might happen, you have some insiders telling the outlet that
New Vegas is great, but libertarians are crazy, man. Like,
time as a special government employee, because the administration had given him that.
To be a libertarian, you have to live in the delusion that there's no society on the planet. You just live by yourself. It's not a functioning like ideology to live your day to day by. And again, that's my opinion, but like I feel like it's factual. Like every libertarian I've met, even the ones with families, think they're like the only person on the planet. Like they think like there's no such thing as other society, there's no such thing as other people. Everyone else is like an NPC or an illusion, and they don't have to care or think about whatever's going on in their lives. And it's like, you can't do that, man. You live in society. I'm sorry. You were born in a jail called planet Earth. It's a closed ecosystem. You're not stuck on an asteroid out past Alpha Centauri or even on an island in the Pacific. Like, you're stuck around other people. You can't avoid that. Like, you'll live out your life running into other people, engaging with other people, breaking bread with them. And the libertarian mindset's been exacerbated heavily by social media. What was meant to connect us has really driven communities apart. Like, you could see your family and their photos online instead of having to like grow up and live with your cousins, your uncles and aunts, your grandparents, and then the people in your township. All that's gone. Like, I know the names of one set of my neighbors, the husband and wife. I know their names. I don't know any of the other people in my neighborhood at all. And actually, no, wait. I know one other person in my neighborhood. I met them through a circumstance. But yeah, I just don't engage. Like, we're prone to not engaging with each other anymore. Like, sociability is down because of social media. Because again, like the interactions we have with people that are supposed to be important and key in our lives, they're diminished. They're made less important, less valuable, less intimate. Because like you could say hi to your grandma through a message, but then there's a different feeling when you're like, go up and give her a hug and be like, I missed you. And they can say, I missed you too. Like, that's disappearing. That's going away. And then again, when you factor in algorithm driven social media, we're being herded into feeling certain ways. Like we joke about like everyone's in the Matrix, you need to wake up, we're all sheep. We're being turned into that. Like, the metaphor of Neo sitting in his office cubicle. Deals with the threat of being shot in the spine. Yeah, you're right, Inverted. You're right. That is why they're both bad, though. That you're right. You're right. Yeah. Where was I? Neo cubicle. But yeah, the idea of like Neo being like this like emotionally dead individual sitting in a cubicle wasting his days away, that's kind of what we're all being turned into by the nature of our jobs and our communities. So yeah, Inverted, you're right. I'm going to keep playing the video, not ignoring you. Just we got to keep rolling. There's a lot of shit to cover today.
status, insisting that he isn't actually the leader of Doge. This seemingly in part to avoid legal issues that have arisen over an unappointed official having so much power, as well as to exempt.
That's true, but like, that's counter to what the nature of man should be. We should remove unfairness. We have intellect, we have the capacity to make things better. Like, we should. Like, we shouldn't be favoring rich people, but we also shouldn't be, like, having a society where we need to shoot each other in the spine. You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. You got me. Let's keep going.
To Musk from certain federal rules around ethics and conflicts of interest. But also, the thing about the special government employee designation is that it comes with a 130-day time limit, which for Musk would expire in late May or early June. But all of this is, notably here, some sources have said that reports of Musk being pushed out are being overblown, claiming that Trump is still very happy with his work, and at the very least, Musk won't be leaving until his work.
He's not going to admit he's wrong with how bad Elon's been doing. Elon hasn't done shit.
Work at Doge is done. For now, we're gonna have to wait to see there, though it does mark a significant reversal from just about a month ago when you had White House officials and allies saying that Musk was here to stay and that Trump would find a way to keep him after the 130-day limit. And also, in recent days, both Trump and Musk have been alluding to some kind of transition or semi-departure, with the president telling reporters on Monday.
At some point, he's going to be going back. He wants to.
He wants to try and save Tesla, but the damage is done.
After last week, you had Fox News' Brett Baer asking Musk if he would be ready to leave when his special government employee status expires, and Musk responded,
Well, I think
what the hell are Elon bucks?
Most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within that time frame.
But again, who really knows?
I mean, if it's money, if it's Elon money, I'll take his money away from him. Yeah, I'll take Elon's money away from him.
Love to keep Elon.
I'm not going to take like Elon's money to do something for him, but I'll take his money away from him. That's what I've been going to these Tesla takedowns for like a month now. Like, yeah, let's tear him down.
Around for as long as possible. So who really knows what's going to happen at this point? All I would say is, that was the news. This is my opinion. I really don't foresee a situation where Trump throws Musk under the bus, how he has with people in his first administration. If there's an ending or a transition of him leaving,
only if Elon says some shit to him.
Because for all the things that Trump
with how badly
he's an idiot when it comes to knowing a person's value, especially if he's
the
richest man who.
That's okay. That kind of slaps. Now, when you did the Monopoly money comparison, that kind of slaps a bit. Yeah.
Who owns one of the most powerful social media companies, that's not something he's going to want to ever throw away. All of the Musk stuff aside, the Wisconsin Supreme Court race wasn't the only notable election that took place yesterday. Because as we talked about on Monday, there were 2 special elections in Florida to fill House seats vacated by Republican representatives. And while both of those seats ended up staying red as widely expected, the big question here was how close the margins would be and if Democrats could make gains. And although it ended up being especially close, even the race for the 6th district, which some polls showed as being competitive, Democrats still overperformed in both contests. Because with most of the votes counted, returns show that the Republicans in both districts won by around 14%. Now, obviously, that is a solid margin, but not
the Matt Gaetz district with Randy Fine and Josh Well. That's crazy because Matt Gaetz, again, a pedophile, won that district by 33%, and Randy Fine was 11% over in winning. Like, that's a massive gain.
Compared to how Trump performed just 5 months ago. Right? Trump won the 6th district by 30 points in November, more than double the percentage of votes that the Republican candidate received now. And in the 1st district, which wasn't even the race,
I need a black backdrop
Trump
for the
won by
chat.
a whopping 37%, with the Dem even managing to flip one county in the district. A county
I got
that
a
Trump
stupid
had won
idea
by
I think I could do.
19
Hold
points.
on.
And in fact, according to the data, Democrats' overperformance in the 1st district was the biggest
I'm
of
gonna
any of the
do
roughly
something
3
really-
dozen special elections since Trump was
might
first
be a good
elected
idea.
in
This might work.
2016. Now, of course,
Hold
with
on.
this, despite those margins, you had Trump patting himself on the back, attributing the wins in Florida to his endorsements of the candidates. But this is Democrats, for their part, have taken the races as encouraging signs of a broader momentum. Right? And that because in addition to the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat, Democrats have clocked a number of other wins in smaller elections recently. Right? Flipping 2 state Senate seats in special elections in both Iowa and Pennsylvania. And as Democratic pollster John Anzalone explained, when Democrats are outperforming or winning, it's a big psychological boost in a time when Democrats are feeling pretty low. They're going to be dealing with a political environment that
It was a
Trump
good
has
win. It
created,
was a
which
really
is
good
not
win.
good right now for Republicans. But of course, one of the biggest questions is, can they keep this momentum going until the midterms? Right? Because at the risk of just repeating myself over and over,
The answer is
off-season
maybe.
and special elections are not always good indicators of broader trends, especially this far out. Right? Turnout is lower in these, and they've been skewing more Democrat in recent years, especially among higher educated, politically involved Democrats who weren't able to sway the presidential election or many other key congressional races in 2024. And as experts have openly acknowledged, including Anzalone, it's Dems are good at capitalizing on anger, but that is also more of a defensive
goddamn it.
position. It's not a substitute for economic focus, messages, or other more
That's what I
affirmative
get. Okay,
efforts to
hold on.
connect to working class Americans. With him adding, any time that we've been winning is because they've been losing. Republicans screwing up is not a democratic strategy. But for now, we'll have to wait to see how this plays out. And of course,
that's what
in the
James
meantime,
Carville
I would
was
love
saying.
to know your thoughts
Like a
in those
goddamn
comments down below. Because as I always say, especially for the newbies, yes, this is a news show, but I also want it to be a conversation. So let me know your opinions, your reactions, your reasoning, and you might even be included in tomorrow's show.
He would force us to. Like, Elon would force us to call him Mr. Musk. Like, that is the thing he would do. Every story about every employee interaction he has behind the scenes is him just being a fucking lunatic. Like, an asshole and a lunatic. So, yeah, he would absolutely, like, make us try to call him something. God damn it. Okay. You know what? I wonder would it be better... Sorry, I'm finagling with this thing. Nope. We're going to stick with the empty. Whatever. You can't get Chatterino to do... It can do multiple Twitch streams, but it can't do Twitch and Kick, which is how this whole thing is going right now. In the last month, I've improved the camera. I've improved the microphone situation. We've gotten dual streaming. We've gotten invisible chat. All sorts of fun shit working. I thought Restream costs money, so it's a good suggestion. I do appreciate it. This works. I just need to tweak it a little bit. I need a black background, and I can set one up. We're doing it janky right now. We're doing a little jank, just a smidge janky. You know what I'm saying? There we go. Okay.
Then, next up today, we got to talk about Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs. Because at
Here
4
it
p.m.
comes.
Eastern today, he took to the Rose
absolute
Garden to say that
disaster.
for decades our country's been looted, pillaged, and raped by both.
Again, I do
friends and
appreciate the
foe alike,
Restream
with him saying
suggestion.
oftentimes
I looked into
friend
them.
is
It's
actually
just
worse than foe.
this
And with
is
that,
cheaper.
announcing
A
reciprocal
lot of
tariffs, calling it a
streamers do shit
declaration of
janky,
economic
but
independence. And among other things, claiming this will bring jobs.
I've been
and
doing this for like a
factories
month
back
and a
into our
half like
country. He
this.
then announced that
So,
a 25% tariff
I'm
on all
coming
foreign-made
together.
automobiles will go into effect at midnight. Trump also went on to talk about tariffs on certain things like motorcycles with specific countries. But then Trump saying of the reciprocal tariffs that there's actually some math involved, that they're not direct one-to-ones. And with that, he whipped out this big handy-dandy chart. And you can pause it to see what every single one of those are. You know, there was a huge range on display.
Okay, so, like... God. Essentially, in order to make any sort of profit, we need to start gouging each other. So inflated markups, inflated inflation, like they're saying an 1,100 drop tomorrow, but I mean, like, this smells like 2,000 point drop. This sounds like 1,100 tomorrow, maybe, and then 2,000 throughout the whole rest of the week, and then next week I think it's going to taper like 500 points every week, until it maybe plateaus at 20. It's not going to end well. No, this is going to end well. We're fucked.
So for China, he added
We're not fucked. We're in a
67%
fucked
to our
situation.
reciprocal tariffs of 34%, the European Union 39%, to our reciprocal 20%, with Trump then going on to announce a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. And then in general, regarding
Insane.
reciprocal
It's just
tariffs, saying,
insane.
these are not
There's-
one-to-one, that these are kind reciprocal.
Like, tariffs are supposed to be like acupuncture. Like, they're supposed to be like precise in between the pores, like to get the stress out in like certain areas. You're targeting like a specific thing. They're like sanctions, but for economic policy. So you need to target them. And he just fired 1 million acupuncture needles into the face of every nation on the planet like a fucking idiot. God, he's fucking stupid. He opened up a second casino half a mile away from his first casino and ran both casinos out of business. How do you do that? Again, I know I would be a better president because any child knows not to do that. They're meant to boost like domestic production. They're also a tactic. Like, you can implement them like strategically against adversaries like Russia and everything. And yeah, you're right to boost like again, we've got, excuse me, we've got a Kentucky bourbon. Maybe someone starts importing like their brand, but we want Kentucky to sell better domestically. We put a tariff on theirs, so it's more expensive to buy their stuff instead of the Kentucky stuff. Fun fact, since those tariffs were implemented in Canada, the Kentucky distillery that makes most of the Kentucky bourbon had to lay off 650 employees because they can't sell that much liquor anymore. And it's like he's just crushing between aiming to lay off 1 million government employees this year, cutting contracts that pay for non-government employees in both the contracting sector and in the general job market abroad, both in medical research. There's a whole bunch of industries that are funded with federal funds. Agriculture, that one farmer, Skyler, that was like, since Trump like shut down a good portion of the USDA, I'm not getting my grants and I'm going to lose my farm. Like, he's done that on a national scale with no regard. Because again, the Doge guys aren't reviewing anything. They're sending out like, oh, your performance is poor, you're fired reviews. They're not doing any performance reviews. That's not a thing they're doing. They're just blanket firing people off. So yeah, between all that, this insanity, we're going into the only thing efficient is how quickly they're getting us to a depression. There's no logic to this. Again, I could run this better. Most of you, anyone watching this, would more likely be a better president than this fool. Yeah, let's keep going.
And then saying if you want your tariffs to be zero, then make your product here. And this is always saying to the other leaders of countries who might be calling
Phil just said
say,
it,
hey,
yeah.
can we get an exemption? That they should drop their tariffs, their barriers, saying that they manipulate their currency. For now, we're going to have to wait to see what happens. And I mean that on several fronts.
Dude,
this announcement happened just...
If George Washington was alive, he would be walking into the Capitol to hang Donald Trump. He would walk into the White House and demand that the Secret Service get out of the way so he could strengthen. Like, that's what George Washington would do. What was it, Stephen Hickey? Hold on. Washington traitor hanging. Thomas Hickey was talking a whole bunch of shit on June 28th, 1776, was the first person to be executed by the Continental Army for mutiny, sedition, and treachery. Washington made a general announcement. The unhappy fate of Thomas Hickey, executed this day for mutiny, sedition, and treachery. General hopes will be a warning to every soldier in the army to avoid those crimes and all others so disgraceful to the character of a soldier and pernicious to this country, whose pay he receives and bread he eats. And in order to avoid those crimes, the most certain method is to keep out of the temptation of them, and particularly to avoid lewd women, who by the dying confession of this poor criminal first led him into practices which ended in untimely and ignominious death. Basically, Thomas Hickey was a slovenly, mutinous bastard that had a hankering for ladies, and listened to one that said, you should kill George Washington and become the ruler of the country type shit. And he's like, nah, I'm going to hang him. George Washington would do the exact same goddamn thing to Donald Trump. And he would hang any member of Trump's admin that would get in the way of him. Absolutely. George Washington was a slave owner. Like, he would... He wasn't... I don't know if he was... He said lewd. Now, that could mean, like, conventional behavior or, like, hoeing about. And I mean, like, nothing wrong with hoeing about. Like, everyone, like, live your life. No judgments here. Like, let's give Washington the benefit of the doubt that he might have been talking about, like, lewd as in, like, referencing, like, he was talking in Old English. Again, I'm giving him a pass on this a little bit. Again, I'm calling him a slave owner too. He was a slave owner and a bastard. Don't get me wrong. Well, let's keep in mind, like, the fact of the matter is, like, betrayal of the nation would motivate past presidents to kill Trump. And that would, like, and it doesn't, okay, let's get off Washington. It doesn't apply to just Washington. Like, Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, everyone on Mount Rushmore would kill Donald Trump. Like they would personally go after and get him. Like ex-presidents, one and all. Thank you, Vanta. Sorry, I can't keep. You'd been a little quiet. I didn't realize it was you. I thought that was Mystique talking for a second. Sorry. Where was I? But yeah, like any past president would kill Donald Trump, which again adds into like the lack of patriotism of both his administration, the Republican Party in general, and yeah. I follow Adam Kinzinger on Blue Sky, and he's fascinating to look at. Like he's the last real Republican that got ejected from Congress for being a Republican, and like he's got some dog shit views. Like Adam believes in like I'm pretty sure he's anti-abortion, and he believes in a bunch of like other like very conservative things, but he's got common sense, honor, and integrity. Like he's a young John McCain, kind of. And he's just fascinating to look at, to see that like 20 years ago, he would have been at home in this party. This party would have again gone after Donald Trump, and instead they've completely bent the knee. They have no backbone. They've given up and seceded all power to him. Now, granted, I think some of them are doing it out of self-interest in the sense that they know there's not going to be any more elections if Trump has his way. So they're going to help him have his way, and that'll be the end of American democracy. And then they just get a little fiefdoms and a little bit of power. Here's the thing. All of them fail to realize that if that's the way they're going, none of them are going to make it through the transition period. They'll all be targets for the constituents they're betraying. None of them are going to come out unscathed. So it's wild that none of them are willing to lose their careers like Kinzinger did to affect real change and loyalty for this nation. So it's impressive. Like they are saying, I don't know if you guys are watching some of the shit these guys are saying. Like Jim Banks was getting into an elevator when a Fed employee that got laid off during the probationary runs came up to him and said, "Hey, I was filed illegally. Do you think that's okay? And if not, what are you doing to undo it?" And Jim Banks, hiding behind four, sorry, they were twink coated. Sorry, no judgment there for that, but bunch of skinny twig boys I could have walked right past. And he's hiding behind them being like, "You didn't deserve your job." Just no hesitation, just "You didn't deserve your job." Like, what are you talking about, man? You don't know this guy. What are you saying? You just the dude lost his livelihood serving this nation. And you're just you didn't deserve it because you were probationary and got laid off by Doge. Are you out of your mind? Elon's high on K all the fucking time. He's not making rational decisions. And his first thing was to just lay off all federal probationary workers. That's insane. That's mentally ill. And he ran with it. Jim Banks ran with it without hesitation. Victoria Spartz, this bitch, god damn it. She's an Ukrainian expat, now U.S. citizen, member of Congress. She's one of the few Republican votes that was fighting the reconciliation bill that got passed in the House initially. And Donald Trump personally called her and cussed her out and lost his fucking mind on her. And so she capitulated. She was recently in a town hall getting torn apart by her constituents. And she said, "You're not," it was like you're, oh, god damn it. Hold on. God damn it. We'll come back to this in a second. Hold on. Victoria Spartz. What did she say? What did this asshole say? We're going to watch this one. Hello, Sam?
Demand the immediate resignation of Pete Hegseth, Michael Waltz, and the rest of the group chat.
No, I will not demand their resignation.
See, your constituents are pissed off. I'm pissed off listening to her.
All of the immigrants that are being rounded up and deported. Are they entitled to due process? Or are we? We're supposed to take the word of the
Watch, she says something really fucked up here. Impossibly fucked up.
Without any opportunity to defend themselves.
But President Trump did it last time when he tried. If you seek asylum, wait in the other country, not get...
That's not how asylum works! That's not how asylum works! Fucking bitch! Sorry, this pisses me off. Like, I have immigrants. My family is descended from immigrants. Ellis Island fucking immigrants. And this asshole, she is an immigrant. She's a Ukrainian immigrant serving in Congress. Like, you come here, you seek asylum here. You ask for it. You say, I'm being persecuted in that country. Please give me asylum so that I can try to build a life here and be a good citizen. And watch what she fucking says about this shit. This fucking asshole.
There is no due process if you come illegally unless you violated the law. Period.
Yeah. There's no due process for people that violate the law. What are you talking about? That's how due process works. That's why you get due process, because you are alleged to have violated the law. You are innocent until proven guilty. That's how this works. Jackass. And she's an elected member of Congress. This fucking asshole. She did a fucking interview with CNN. You bitch. We're gonna watch that later. We're gonna go back to Philly. Sorry, again, mask and rants. That's the only two things I can guarantee you in a stream with me. And swearing. It's good with Kick and Twitch. I'm towing the line, but I'm not monetized. So let's go back to Phil so I can calm down a bit. God damn it.
As we were uploading today's show. So, it's going to be interesting to see what is the reaction online? What is the reaction from world leaders? What are the reactions from the markets? And so, in the meantime, from today's show and tomorrow's show,
markets are saying it's fucked.
Pass the question off
It's
to you.
fucked.
What are your thoughts here? What's your reaction to the news today, and how do you think this is going to play out? And then I've got more big news for you in just a moment. But first, today is huge for Nintendo Switch lovers out there like
God,
myself.
this shit
the
too.
long-awaited
This
launch
pissed
date
me
for
off.
Switch 2, June 5th, and of course, there's more. It's got a larger 7.9-inch display, 8 times the built-in storage, and up to 6.5.
Okay. I want to touch on this real quick. I don't hate the Switch 2. I like the magnetic Joy-Cons. That is very interesting. I like that there's a chat button. I like that the screen is a little bit bigger. It's an LCD screen. Come on. What are you doing? What happened to all those OLED displays you have? Like, I bought a Switch OLED. I regret buying it. I should have just kept my regular Switch. That was a bad mistake. I had a lot of Joy-Con drift. I figured it was time to upgrade. I wanted to play Metroid Dread. I had some spare cash. I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll get it. It only had double the memory of the base Switch. The back stand is really nice. The game cartridge slot is annoying as hell. The new Joy-Cons are nice. They're nice. But it's like, how do I put this? That should have already been better. That should have had 4 times the... You're right, Mystic. That is another good. I'm annoyed with the announcement, and Phil's going to address why. I just know he is. But you're right. There have been improvements. With Nintendo, it's always me looking at them being like, you guys can do better. I know you can do better. You guys have done better in the past. And it feels like every time you can do better, you guys are just like, no, we don't want to. We're gonna do the bare minimum. Here, pay for our premium online subscription for 30-year-old games and save states for that. Like, and pay like a fucking Netflix subscription for that. It's aggravating. It's aggravating how good they could be, but they try not to be. Like, so the double charger, you're not wrong. They don't have to do like more powerful, but like quality of life stuff, they've constantly like ignored. I was talking to Lumi. God damn it, hold on. Let me let him know I'm name dropping him in the. Oh, I didn't. Hold on. 2 seconds. Exactly. No. Inverted. That's exactly what I'm getting at. Like, that's what I mean. Like, Satoru Iwata, I miss him dearly. That man was honorable and cared. Like, he sacrificed for his employees. He worked through his health issues as much as he could. He tried to cater to niche fan bases. He tried to expand and explore the fandom. And the current Nintendo leadership, like, they just don't care. It's just, we'll do something that's, like, relatively decent. Sometimes we'll put out a project with polish. But, like, other times they'll make dog shit Pokemon games. And, exactly. No, inverted. That's entirely you're right. That's entirely my frustration with the current game environment. Like, all right, hot take about copyright law. I'm going to turn this into a short later. If you don't have a piece of media readily and easily available for sale at a reasonable price from when it was released, then that media should not be illegal to pirate. All right? Like, we've got 100-year-old movies and characters that only just become free to public use, like Steamboat Willie, after 100 years, for people to finally start like copying and using and saving and shit. Disney destroyed public domain access. Like, Hassan's got a very hot take in that anything over 10 years should be free. I don't agree with that, but I want to. I wish I could. I'm not there yet. But 20 years. If it came out 20 years ago, free. You can't charge anyone for it. You can't not let them take it. Well, so I just saw your last point. That's a good point. You're right. The reason that doesn't happen is because of market monopolization and capitalization. Keeping these markets closed off keeps... That's a very interesting take. The author dies piece, I'm going to sit on that. If you come back in the next chat, in the next stream, let me sit on that part. That's an interesting point. I don't disagree. That's worth taking in. 20 to 25 years is where I'm at with the year timeline. That sounds right to me. Let me sit on if the author dies. That's a very interesting one. I don't disagree, but I need time to sift through that one. Good point. What was I ranting about before you brought that up? Do you remember? It's been a long day. I'm very tired and very angry about... Good. I am. I'm not as much as I should be, but I am. You're right. Did he die? I can't remember if he died or not. One example that comes to mind is Trinity Blood, which was a very interesting take on vampires that didn't get finished. Well, so Dragon Ball... That's a debate for a whole other stream. One can argue that Toriyama told the story he wanted to tell with Z and the parts of Zup. He is, and he's going... Some people are telling me that Toriyama had way more input on Superhero than he did. I'm hesitant to believe that as of right now. But yeah, Toyotaro is... Like, Super's coming back soon with a whole new arc and everything. And it's like... Here's the thing. In my head, I've thought of ways of cleaning up the story. Because the last arc, the gas electric arc, was... It went off the rails in the worst way. Like, Vegeta gets a new form, which is cool. But the story shit the bed fully. And I would argue that the Moro arc has a bunch of problems with it too. Particularly the way it ended. Overall, like, to get where they got, it was basically like a redo of the Cell Saga in a different way, which I kind of liked. But then, yeah, how it ended, You're right. Well, and here's the thing. Allegedly, Toriyama's last big Dragon Ball was Daima. And Daima also went off the rails at the end there. With spoilers for anyone watching this stream, you got 5 seconds of pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where they just throw Super Saiyan 4 in there and Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, which I didn't mind Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta as much. It was anticlimactic, but in hindsight, I was like, not every transformation needs to be so climactic. And it was just cool that they showed a Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. And I liked the Vegeta 3 redesign. I didn't think I would at first, but I sat with it. I was like, yeah, this is good. This works. This is nice. Throwing Super Saiyan 4 in there kind of pissed me off. It was cool to see. It was actually really cool to see but like it breaks Super's canon because Goku goes up against Beerus as Super Saiyan 3, the strongest form. But apparently he had Super Saiyan 4 tucked away and just never used it. And it's like, come on, man. What's worse is in the show, they give you an out that it can be like, oh, it could have been a temporary demon form, or it was a Namek power-up or something. And it's kind of like, it's like Super Saiyan 4. It could have been Super Saiyan Demon or something. That would have been great. That would have been awesome. Like, because then it's 4, but it's not 4. You know what I mean? It's an homage. And instead, they were just like, yeah, no, Goku can always do it. He just didn't. I don't disagree. With what the last two comments you just said, I don't disagree. How do I put this? Read Dragon Ball Multiverse. Dragon Ball Multiverse is my definitive take on Vegeta with Super Saiyan 3. Have you ever read Multiverse, Dragon Ball Multiverse? I'm not going to lie, I'm waiting. Read Dragon Ball Multiverse. It's a free online fan comic. It started like 12 years ago. They've regularly dropped a page every 2 to 3 days for the last 12 years. No, dude. So Dragon Ball Multiverse was started before Battle of the Gods ever came out. Like Dragon Ball kicked back off again. I think San Goku and Friends came out, which was, I hated it. Like it's cute, but it was bad. So San Goku came out. There was like no Dragon Ball for a while, but then we got Team 4 Star and Dragon Ball Multiverse, which was two guys, Saligar and Gogeta Jr., that's their online names, did this webcomic, and they do it in the art style of Dragon Ball Z. They have guest artists on for specials in various parts of the story every now and then, but generally keep it within the original. It looks like you're reading a Dragon Ball Z comic perfectly. It's amazing. It picks up the story after Dragon Ball Z, no GT, so it's the cast. Pan's a smidge older. Oob is there. He's a little older. It's almost at where GT would be, but it's not there, if that makes sense. And they have like a multiverse tournament with various versions of various outcomes of Dragon Ball like universes. Like, what if Cell won? What if Frieza won? What if Boo won? What if Goku didn't come to Earth? What if all sorts of stuff? And they have a multiverse tournament. And it is amazing. It is amazing how well this story is written. Holy shit. Exactly. No, exactly. Dragon Ball Multiverse and Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball Z Abridged, I swear to God, saved the franchise. And like, Sean Schemmel gets pissy about it. He's like, I don't understand why they do it, and they're making money off the name. It's like, dude, they brought you back. Like, they kept this franchise alive for Super and Battle of the Gods to happen. I got one big exception there. One big one. The Witcher. Sapkowski did some really great work in the books. But Witcher 2 and Witcher 3, and I'm looking forward to Witcher 4, very impressive story writing with that. So you're not wrong. I don't disagree. Especially because, yeah, Sapkowski, he put his name on the show. The show was ass. Yeah. Sorry, let's get back into the mixed bag, in my opinion. That is the Switch 2, which should have been called the Super Nintendo Switch. Let's keep going. I don't want to lose. We got a lot of videos I want to go over.
hours of battery life. Plus, the console can be bundled with an exclusive Mario Kart world, which, let's be honest, it's going to eat everyone's summer up. And Nintendo
looks
is
great.
finally
It does look
acknowledging
great.
You have friends with game chat and game share.
I don't
so
have the
you
money.
can yell at each
Like,
other and play
I'm
locally without
a
buying
single
two
income
copies. For
family
fellow
household right
slightly
now,
older
so
gamers, as well as I'm going to be introducing this to my kids. Yes, you get Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, Soul Calibur 2. They're back via GameCube library. And hey, if you're
That is
grabbing
good.
Switch 2 in June,
Like,
today's sponsor, D-Brand,
Dolphin is a
literally
very
has you
good
covered with the
emulator
Kill
for
Switch console
for
case,
GameCube
dropping
games.
day one alongside the Switch 2.
It
So
has
be
issues
sure to
here and
reserve
there,
yours
but
now
it does
at
work.
dbrand.com/DeFranco. Or for those of us with adult human hands, Kill Switch gives the super uncomfortable Joy-Cons cool ergonomic grips to keep your hands from cramping during extended gaming sessions. It also comes with a custom-built USB 4 dock adapter that works with Nintendo's dock and doubles as a sleek display stand. And the crush-proof travel cover, it features a 10-game
I just
card
realized he
holder
got
with
a
frosted
sponsorship, so
finish
he's
to
not going to
see
say
the games
shit
you pack.
about
So
this.
reserve
God
yours
damn it.
today for just $3 at dbrand.com/DeFranco and lock in priority access. Just scan the QR code or click the link below to reserve yours now. But then, next up from that today.
See, okay. I don't know how I feel about Phil taking a sponsorship from Nintendo. Well, okay, from D-Brand on that, and in turn supporting Nintendo. I feel like he should have at least mentioned the screens. You know, while it's not an OLED like the last console, it is a bigger screen, and then mention like the positives. Like, he didn't even mention the pricing. Nintendo jumped up to $80 a game. I got a video up here. Which one do I have? Angry Joe does it. Yeah, we're going to get to that in a little bit. God damn it.
We got to talk about federal government employees and programs continuing to get slammed as the Trump administration's pushing forward with sweeping changes.
They're
Now,
just
the latest
killing
example
people.
being the Department of Health and Human Services, which is run by RFK Jr., and roughly 10,000 workers were laid off yesterday across its various agencies and programs. Or with some programs like the administration,
Don't I know it?
seemingly having all of their staff fired after they were turned away when they tried to show up to work yesterday. And that program, it helps run senior living centers and also runs the Meals on Wheels program, which is credited with giving 216 million meals a year.
They have no replacement in place. These programs will simply cease to be funded until the people on the ground physically implementing them don't have money or food to do them anymore. Like Americans, the Trump administration wants to kill Americans. They just do. They want to kill as many Americans, preferably the weak and elderly, as quickly and as numerously as they possibly can. They just do. They hate Americans. That son of a bitch. He set us on this timeline. We like, not only did that kid get Harambe killed, but how do I put this? We're living in the, I've said it on my Blue Sky. We're living in the timeline where George Bailey died before he was born. Like, that's the timeline we're fucking living in now. God damn it.
Here to the disabled and elderly, with the former head of that group under the Biden administration, Allison Barkoff, telling outlets the programs that ACL implements improve the lives of literally tens of millions of older adults, people with disabilities, and their families and caregivers. There's no way to have these layoffs and not impact the programs and the people who rely on them. And of course, this is
they're killing people. They're just killing people.
The Division of Energy Assistance reportedly had its entire staff laid off, meaning that programs like LIHEAP, which helps 5.9 million low-income families pay for heat and cooling bills, they're left in complete limbo. And it's not like the money can just be clawed back either. Or that program I just mentioned, Congress handed them $4.1 billion. And legally, that money is supposed to be spent on that program, except now there's no one at the program to use the money. It's being reported that it's unclear what's going to happen there. And with that, in an announcement last week, the department said that many of those roles would instead be taken over by the HHS itself, but how that will actually function.
They won't be. These rifts should never have happened without an actual plan in place. They had no plan. They have no plan. They simply cut funding, cut staffing, and are like, we'll take care of it. You can't do that because you won't take care of it. They didn't bring back Ebola, the Ebola care stuff. That didn't happen. That's not going to happen. These people didn't think. They destroyed far more than what they could have destroyed if they had thought about it. They will not come up with a replacement. There will not be any replacement, and even if they did, it will not be implemented. Americans will die. We will look at millions of needless deaths. My personal prediction is 3 million dead Americans. Like, that's my personal prediction. 1% of the population will die probably over the next year. They've cut such essential needs and care. I don't have words for what is happening. Like for what they are doing right now to us, to our friends and family and our grandparents and our cousins and our uncles. They are coming for us. Like this is all in like tinfoil hat, but not really at this point. This is all a pretense to weaken the remaining American population for martial law. It just is. Because if we're all having to take care of our friends and family that are suffering because they're blatantly stealing our money instead of using it to take care of us like we want them to, since we're busy taking care of them, we can't organize, we can't protest, we can't eventually get ready for when the Gestapo ICE officers come knocking on our door and try to break in. Which remember, while ICE is kidnapping people off the street, if you're in your house, if they don't have a warrant, they cannot come in. You do not need to let them in. Remind them that that is your domicile. And that without a warrant, if they attempt to enter, you will defend your domicile with whatever you have on hand. It is your residence. They cannot enter without a warrant. Remember that. While ICE has clearly already been videotaped attempting to break into residences, and again, hijacking people and kidnapping them off the street, when you are in your home, you are safe. Do not let these monsters intimidate you or try to get something out of you that they don't deserve. Sorry, hold on. Let me check. No, nothing. All right. Let's keep going.
It's unclear. Also, we saw other major agencies under RFK Jr.'s leadership being axed, where you had top administrators at the office that oversees the FDA's tobacco response getting fired. And this is while traditional tobacco has been on its back foot, the agency was forced to grow recently in response to the rise of vaping, which has been the focus of tons of lawsuits from the feds. And so it's feared here that the cut could heavily undermine those efforts. Additionally, 130 of the leaders at the FDA's Center for Veterinary Medicine were fired, with those people being veterinarians researching how to best respond to bird flu, which is something, of course, that the United States has been grappling with for a while now. But it's one of the big reasons eggs have been so expensive, as we've had to keep culling chicken population. And that, of course, in addition to the risk of bird flu potentially.
The Republican right in this country has no ability to associate cause and effect. If it's not directly causing something to go wrong in their life, it has no effect on them. It's not real. Like climate change. It's short-sighted. It's ignorant. It's how those cops that were sitting in their cars doing TikToks being like, I'll never get COVID or the vaccine because I'm a real tough guy. There was one specific cop that did that. Dude was like 38 and then he fucking died because he got fucking COVID and he wasn't vaccinated. And it's like, dude, the universe doesn't care about your strong, independent beliefs. It'll just kill you. Like, your ignorance is its license to take you out. You know how you revoke it? You learn, you think, you grow, you watch your fucking step. You don't just step into a mud puddle thinking it's like 2 inches deep. It could be like 4 feet. Like fucking be cautious. Don't be like bold and stupid. Like, God damn it, people.
Jumping to humans on rare occasions. So even if it's rare, it's dangerous because it could be the first step to possibly becoming the next pandemic. And on top of that, they've also issued recalls on a variety of pet food over fears that it's contaminated with bird flu. Also, it appears that in addition to cutting leadership, another strategy seems to be cutting the middlemen who actually make the programs run smoothly. So for example, we saw the Center for Veterinary Medicine also having substantial cuts across its communications and purchasing staff, leading one FDA official to tell CBS News, the food compliance officers and animal drug reviewers survived, but they have no one at the comms office to put out a safety alert, no admin staff to pay external labs to test products. And so overall,
they have effectively stopped the government. Ironically, with the same bureaucratic nonsense, like the bureaucratic powers that they are bitching and saying they're stopping. Like, no, they are just aiming to kill Americans. That's all they want to do.
Expected that these layoffs will have wide-ranging impacts that are hard to really quantify right now, with the head of the American Federation of Government Employees Union saying, cutting 10,000 critical public health jobs puts every American at risk, weakening our defenses against disease outbreaks, unsafe medications, and contaminated food. Congress and citizens must join us in pushing back. Our health, safety, and security depend on a strong, fully staffed public health system. And of course,
yes,
this isn't even the end of the...
There was a study done last year, I've mentioned this in prior streams, where across the entire federal government, hold on 1 second, Inverted. I don't know why your last chat did not show up in the thing. What the hell? Hold on. 1 sec. I don't know why yours didn't show up. Was I ranting that long and I missed it? Jesus. It's got a 2-minute delay on it. Of course there's guys named George Jetson. Like, dude, kids are named like Ray Skywalker, and look at Elon. He named like 6 of his kids X. Like, I'm not even kidding. There was Vivian, dead name Xavier, Exadark Sidreal, the one that is just straight up X. Like I didn't name my kids weird names. Like, I gave them pretty straightforward and like standard names because I didn't want, like, my brother, my old man wanted to name him like the most laughable name. Like, he would have been bullied because my old man never understood, like, you don't give a kid a name that rhymes. You just don't do that. Like, everyone loves X23. Everyone loves X23. Everyone. She's great. She's always welcome at the party. She gets the first hit, whatever she wants. She's great. Where was I? But yeah, I saved my brother from having a rhyming name. I gave my kids very straightforward names. Like, children are cruel. Like, don't subject them to each other, for God's sake. Hold on. Okay, yeah, now it's showing up. I don't know why it wasn't showing up there for a second. Hold on, let me check. I don't have anyone in the kick stream, I think. Hold on. Huh, yeah. Although it's all working.
The cuts of the federal government either. Departments like the Department of Agriculture, they haven't started their White House ordered reduction in force orders yet, other than offering buyouts and early retirements. The mass layoffs that we've seen elsewhere in the federal government, they haven't started yet. And they're the third biggest non-national security department in the country. Right? So just generally speaking, we've got...
all these programs need to be better staffed. We're at a point where the government should not be laying anyone off. There was a study last year that says across all the existing jobs in the federal government, there were 50,000 employees total across the entire federal government that could be let go, consolidated, removed. 50,000 across the entire federal government of 2.2 million employees. The Trump administration in the last 2.5 months has gutted 250,000 of employees with the goal of being 1 million employees this year. And at the end of, if this term ever has an end, 200,000, if not less. They'll get away with as low a number as federal employees as possible. Because again, the whole point is corporations doing whatever the fuck they want. At the expense of the people, at the expense of your health, at the expense of your retirement. The goal is fast and loose. You're going to be a wage slave till you die. Your children are going to be wage slaves. That's the end game. Which, again, is wrong. The answer that God, if the Trump administration had any balls and actually cared, which they don't on either account, the federal government would be a jobs program. It absolutely would be. You would hire as many Americans as you could that do or don't have jobs, give them better pay, better benefits, take care of them, give them health care, and have them expand the infrastructure of this nation. High-speed rail, improve housing, like build our infrastructure so that the necessity for cars is not as much. Improve networking, all these things. They are taking a hatchet to what little we had. They are destroying this. They're destroying our infrastructure. Yeah, no, 100%, yeah. Yeah, education should be a job. That's, dude, perfect example. And I love educators. I love them so much. I love every single person that still endeavors and tries to be a teacher in this country, except for the ones that are like indoctrinating kids into like religious schools. Fuck them. Like, but Wes Moore in Maryland said, I'm going to try to create a teacher's job program where if you lost your job in the federal government, you can try to become a teacher. Like, we'll pay you to teach. Like, we'll fast track you into teaching kids. Like, you don't have the degrees. Like, show us your qualifications and like topics that you're good at. Like, we'll get you in the schools and get you seated. Like, that's the right move. Like, yeah, education should be a jobs program. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good point. Thank you.
Big news here, and even more big news just around the corner. But then, next up from that, we gotta talk about 25 hours and 5 minutes. That is how long Cory Booker stood on the Senate floor speaking virtually nonstop in protest of Donald Trump's administration, with him starting at 7 p.m. on Monday night and ending around 8 p.m. Tuesday night, which historically made it the longest speech in congressional history, with him beating the record set in 1957 by the segregationist Strom Thurmond, who filibustered the Civil Rights Act for over 24 hours, which I know, as many have noted, makes this feat 68 years later even more symbolic, since Booker himself is a black man. And in fact, he later told reporters that was part of the motivation for him to keep going.
I always felt that it was a strange shadow to hang over this institution, that the longest speech, with all the issues that have come up, all the noble causes that people have done, or the things.
It's nice that he did that, but again, like, as soon as he was done, the Dems were just back to voting in the next Trump nominee. Like, let's get real, guys. Come on, please.
Stop. I just found it strange that he had the record.
You know, the main focus of this speech was the state of our country in 2025, and he talked about fucking everything. He went military-grade yapper. He covered healthcare, education, immigration, housing, the economy,
it was
social
impressive.
security, veterans affairs, agriculture, trade, foreign policy, democracy, women's rights, racial equality, and more. And even with that, he says he didn't get to everything he wanted to cover, with his staff even reportedly having worked throughout last week to fill 15 binders with 1,164 pages of material for his speech, which notably is why he never pulled out any of the gimmicks used to kill time in previous filibusters and marathon speeches, like reading the phone book or Dr. Seuss. In fact, when fellow Democrats tried to introduce some levity, such as when Chuck Schumer or Amy Klobuchar invited him to chat about sports or music, Booker acknowledged them but refused the distractions and went right back to his speech.
I won't stand for the collective assaults on the Constitution by a man who even the highest judge in our land, a Republican-appointed judge, said stop threatening and bullying other branches of government.
And despite clearly getting worn down as the hours passed, he just powered through, with him saying as late as 15 hours in that he still had fuel in the tank, and some 21 hours in.
Inverted, that is a very hot take about the education. You're right. You're absolutely right. I never thought about that shit. Because you're absolutely right. That's my personal experience. Like, high school sucked for me. High school was a shit time for me, for a lot of reasons. But frankly, like, considering how many of my peers turned out, like, somehow I'm doing okay. But I look at, like, how we were like churned out of there. You're right. We were only taught, like, you only know so much. And if you're lucky, you might know a little more. And it's like, no, like, you need to build us up more. Like, we need to, no one coming out of high school is self-sufficient at all. Not in the slightest. And no one going into college, coming out of college is self-sufficient anymore. I lucked out by having jobs that taught me how to exist in this effed up society. But it's also given me the insight of saying, like, oh, things could be a million times better. They're just not, because 800 billionaires are like, we want to own everything. And you, because you're not people, you're just objects. Like, that's something I had to learn. And these kids aren't, God damn it. Some woman posted on Blue Sky how her kid was, no, not Blue Sky, it was TikTok. She saw her children's take-home work, and it was just SpaceX propaganda. It was like, did you know that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are building rockets to get us to Mars and the moon? They're so great. And it's like, that's not history. That's not mathematics. That's bullshit. Like, so yeah, they're not even getting the education I was given, which was like something, but nowhere near as like trite as this bullshit. And Vanta, you're right. Booker was again, I don't want to take away from what he did. It's good that he knocked Strom Thurmond down, that racist, bigoted, dead piece of shit. And I don't want to take away from what he did, but it's like he did that, and then all the other Dems are just like, okay, back to Senate confirmations. Let's get these Trump people in. Like, God damn it. Inverted, don't joke about Hakeem. Hakeem is just, I was calling and cussing out his staffers up until the cloture thing, when it was like, all right, you did one good thing. And then Schumer nukes it all. And I was like, Hakeem, call for him to resign. And he was like teetering on the fence for 5 seconds. Like, oh, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. And he's like, no, I won't. I'm like, come on, man. He's got to go. He's too old. He's basically dead. Like, come on, do it. All right, let's keep going.
But Ted Cruz even tweeting a joke that he was contemplating pulling the fire alarm. But obviously he didn't, and Booker continued, and a few hours later, the bell tolled on Strom Thurmond's legacy.
Would the senator yield for a question?
Chuck Schumer, it's the only time in my life I can tell you no.
Which, okay, it's a cute joke, but also like that's a serious answer. That can't be. Got to fix that, man. You got to say no to him way more.
I just want to tell you a question. Do you know you have just broken the record? Do you know how proud this caucus is of you? Do you know how proud America is of you?
Real talk, I want to understand, like, could they not all just, like, trade off, like, one after the other doing 24-hour speeches or even 12-hour speeches and just do it indefinitely? Again, the Republicans passed a bill basically declaring 2025 as one long day so they don't have to vote against Trump's tariffs, which is, again, is insane, but it's what they did. Like, inverted, I'll kick his teeth in. Like, I've been cussing out their staffers. I've been calling Dem staffers with my name and social security number being like, you get your shit together. All right? I'm not scared of you. Like, I've been calling them and cussing them out. I have not been calling the Republicans with my real name. Like, those people are insane. They're pulling call logs. They're trying to get, like, again, ice sicked on people. They're fucking nuts. But I've been calling them. Dude, the festival he promised us is going to be like a North Korean style one where, like, tanks in the street and Kim Jong-un, like, he's going to be on top of a tank waving, and then, like, pointing at people in the audience and, like, a sniper will just take them out. Yeah, we ain't getting no fucking party, man. Oh, let's finish up, Phil.
Clearly emotional Booker there, wiping tears from his face and placing a hand over his heart. But even with that, he still didn't stop. He kept going for almost another hour. And, you know, also I'll say, when you think about the raw demands made upon body and mind, like, this is pretty impressive. Right? First of all, obviously he couldn't sleep, so you can imagine the exhaustion that he must have felt from that. He also couldn't use the bathroom at all, and according to his staff, he wasn't wearing a catheter or a diaper. With him later explaining that he had fasted since Friday and stopped drinking water on Sunday night. Which, I mean, just throwing myself in there, if that was me, I'd barely be able to form words halfway through. And that's without mentioning the muscle cramps and spasms that he says the lack of water caused him, which he was apparently struggling to keep under control as the speech progressed. And then also there's the fact that he had to stand up the entire time without a single break for 25 straight hours, because that is one of the Senate rules, that you have to remain standing if you want to hold the floor. And actually with that, you had Senator Chris Murphy explaining that Booker had someone remove his chair just so he—
I mean, I'm sure if you put it in the suggestion box, Trump he'll think about it. You start hearing a drone circling your house, like, here's your fucking potty.
He didn't feel tempted to sit down. All of which, of course, led him to feeling aching back pain and sore legs. Especially because, keep in mind, this is a 55-year-old guy. He's going to be 56 this month. You know, with this marathon speech,
used to date Rosario Dawson.
His performance, and you can literally hear his voice quivering with the weight of the burden that he endured.
The power of the people is greater than the people in power. It is time to heed the words of the man I began this whole thing with, John Lewis. He said he had to do something. He would not normalize a moment like this. He would not just go along with business as usual. He wouldn't know how to solve it. But there's one thing that he would do that I hope we all can do that I think I did a little bit
Trump
of tonight.
put tariffs on Antarctica. It's not a serious administration. It never was.
He said for us to go out and cause some good trouble, necessary trouble, to redeem the soul of our nation. Let's get in good trouble. My friend, Madam President, I yield the floor.
You know, like we talked about briefly yesterday, the reaction from Democrats has largely been one of thank you. Thank you for doing something big and bold and speaking truth to power in a way that garners attention. Thank you for acknowledging this is not normal and we are in unprecedented times. Because not only do people need to pay attention, they need to get involved. And of course, even those were general reactions to the speech as a whole, with many individual clips and moments going viral, people attaching themselves to that. You know, kind of like I said yesterday, as it was still going on, it's going to be very interesting to see if this ends up being a blip or this ends up being a spark. Because that is something that the Democrats need. Their approval ratings have been in the dumpster. With the main feelings we've seen from Democrats,
we got 4 viewers. Welcome to the Twitch
not
chat.
Be the other guy. do something. And so we'll have to wait to
Also
see.
simultaneously
Is the
streaming on
something from
Kick.
Cory Booker, the something we've seen from AOC.
Like and
Bernie, does it
subscribe. I
turn
appreciate
into
every
more
follower.
and more? But then next up,
And
from
I
that,
engage as much as I
international
can.
news, Gazans are once again finding themselves stuck between a rock and a hard place and being forced to flee their homes after Israel announced that it was going
Israel's
to
just
seize
gonna-
large chunks of the territory.
it's just
And
gonna
this
kill them
coming
all
after
now. Like,
Israel
they're just
already
gonna kill them
renewed
all.
fighting in the
Goddamn.
territory after negotiations on continuing a ceasefire with Hamas fell apart. Each side.
Oh, inverted. I don't
blaming
know.
the other, and
Thank you
we'll
for
talk
the
about this in
follow. I don't know if I
detail
said that
for
earlier.
those
I'm
who missed
sorry.
it. Israel said it
It's
wanted
been a
new
long
deal
day.
that
It's
would
been a
get
long
hostages
week.
released quicker, while Hamas said it wanted to continue under the old framework. And either way, the deal is dead. But then today, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announcing that troops will move to clear areas of terrorists and infrastructure and
They're gonna
seize
kill
extensive
every
territory
Gazan.
that
They're
will be
just-
added
they're
to the
gonna
state
kill
of
all of
Israel's
them.
security areas. And of course, with this operation,
What's up?
Israel
Well, what's
conducted
wild? What I
airstrikes
missed?
with many locals feeling they were indiscriminate. With, for example, a UN clinic sheltering families reportedly being hit, which killed at least 19 Palestinians, including 9 children. And that is
And like we don't bat an eye at these deaths. No one bats an eye. Like Republicans just don't see them as people. Israelis see them as animals. Like they're children. It's like if my child was taken away from me in a senseless terror attack by a superior nation, like I would hope for empathy and help, like as my whole world is undone. But again, like the Israelis just don't care, and Republicans never care. I don't know.
top of overnight strikes that killed at least 20 in southern
Inverted,
Gaza.
what's
With that, you had
wild?
Israel claiming that Hamas terrorists were hiding at the clinic, so it was a valid target. If that sounds familiar, that's because it's a pattern that we've seen. Right? Hamas has long been accused of hiding their forces and facilities among civilian targets, and Israel uses this as justification for bombing those targets and leaving everyday people caught in the middle. And then, all of that, it's bad enough, but things just got worse for many Gazans. Because on top of renewed airstrikes, ground forces are also clearing out a massive chunk of land to expand a security zone between Gaza and Israel, which, to be clear, they've been slowly making the zone bigger and bigger throughout the war, and it's on top of another corridor that Israel
see that?
controls, which effectively
They're just
puts Gaza
crushing
in
them. They're
half.
just
And anyone
killing
living
them.
in the so-called expanded security zone area is once again being forced.
Yeah, dude, like there are videos circulating of like it was a Palestinian journalist interviewing Israelis on the street in Israel, and was like, "Do you think like the bombing of Israeli children is okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, like they're gonna grow up to be terrorists. Like it's better to just kill them now." Like repeatedly happening. Like I don't want to look up the link. It really upsets me like that people just. And like they're like older people, like grandmas and like middle-aged people, like that should know better, and they're just like, yeah, they're all just dogs. Like you got to treat them like rabid dogs and kill them. And I'm like, they're human beings with families and friends, like, but they're all Hamas. They're all Hamas, and I'm like, you don't know that. You're just saying that. And also, even if they were, you're the superior power. You have an Iron Dome protecting you, like. They are. No, they are. They are. You're right. I wish you weren't, but you are right. Yeah. Shut up. My dogs are going crazy. What was I saying? I lost my own train of thought. Oh yeah. Like they're the superior power. Nobody thinks about how. I'm sorry. Like Israeli deaths are not a thing at the moment. Like before, it used to be missile strike back and forth, like Israel and Palestine lobbing a missile here and there. Besides when Israel would mow the grass by killing a bunch of Palestinians at a random like they would kill like 100 Palestinians like during like random purges, and now they're going on like the final purge, which is what the Republicans are doing to us in the country right now too, unrelated, at least to their dissident enemies. Bit of a tangent, but real talk. But yeah, instead of like a little tit for tat back and forth like they were doing for like the last 20 years. Just killing each other during like skirmishes and localized stuff. Like now it is fully Israel is just annihilating the Palestinians. They're just killing as many as they can until they kill them all. And like Israeli deaths are not a thing anymore. And all the radicals and their nut jobs, like they're like, we're ready to colonize. We're ready to move in and take back what is ours, which is the Gaza Strip. We want it. Like we're hungry for it. We need it. And I'm like, it's not yours. Like, these are their homes. You don't just get to take that from them, just like they don't get to take them from you. And they're like, but God promised it to us. So yeah, I'm going to go snipe some 4-year-old kids so their parents know pain and suffering for the rest of their life for daring to take what God gave to us. Like, it's like like 10, 15 years ago, I was pretty on board with like the Israeli project. I was like, yeah, the Jewish people need a home to, and again, I was a kid, all things considered, but like, I was like, yeah, Jewish people were displaced and assaulted and holocausted. Like, they need their own country. I understand why the Palestinians won't just share the land with them. And I know, like, there are belligerent sides on the Palestinian side. Like, Hamas is a bad actor, but like, the number of civilians just needlessly killed in a conflict that should have just resulted in a 2-state, and at this point now it just needs to be a 1-state solution where the Palestinians are respected as a people. Like, because we don't have that, and Yoav Gallant and Benjamin Netanyahu just love killing Palestinians. Like, we'll never have that. They're just gonna finish genociding these people. The Noah Samson video I watched a week or so ago really effed me up. Like, where Noah gets you in with I'm going to talk about streamer drama, and he does for like 5 seconds, but then he goes over the entire recent Palestinian conflict and like the current, like how we got where we are now with Israel and Palestine. He does a detailed analysis, and it's beautifully horrific. Like, Noah does an amazing job breaking it all down, and it is just heartbreaking how where we are is where we are. I don't have words for it. And yeah, like, fuck Israel.
From their homes. So for many Gazans, especially in the north, this is a bitter pill to swallow. But it's only been a few months since they've been able to actually go back to their homes after being forced to flee south, and now they're on the streets again. And then, making this horrible situation even worse, is that Israel has blocked aid shipments from entering Gaza since March 2nd, which makes it the longest aid drought since the war began. And you have aid groups like the UN also reducing their operations in Gaza because workers keep getting killed by Israeli strikes. Now, also with this situation, we saw that the news that Israel was expanding operations in Gaza, that was met with pushback within Israel, because you had the hostages and missing families forum, for example, which represents many of the hostages' families, saying in a statement that they were horrified about the news that more operations were being carried out. And generally speaking, many of the hostage families worry that continued fighting is just a death sentence for their loved ones. And right now, while obviously we're going to keep eyes on this, in the meantime, it really does look like this humanitarian disaster is just going to keep getting worse. The people there have fewer and fewer supplies, many are losing their homes forever, and if Gaza manages to be a thing after this war, it'll have a lot less land. But then, next up from that, for your daily dose of good news to try to preserve your sanity, 18 real-life Rosie the Riveter women, they were dishonored for their work during World War II, because the Gary Sinise Foundation's Soaring Valor program brought 18 women down to the World War II Museum in New Orleans. Right, and that because they were a handful of the 5 million women who embodied Rosie the Riveter, a famous painting by Norman Rockwell that was on the cover of the Saturday Evening Post in 1943.
Random fact, during the whole like Social Security lies and bullshit that Elon was pushing. Oh. You're right, inverted, you're right, yeah. I get that shit all the time, and I'm working way more than you guys ever did for way less. Like, I'm one of the lucky ones in my generation in that, like, I'm able to own a home. But it is, don't get me wrong, I work hard for it. I'm exhausted now trying to start my streaming career in my off hours. But, I work hard for it, but I got lucky. I got extremely lucky. I can think of about 10 unique instances that had to play out perfectly, and frankly happened because I'm a cis white male. Like, it's stacked in my favor, and I in the back of my mind when I was getting those opportunities, like, I knew that, but looking back in hindsight over my career as I've benefited from them, I'm like, I've been extremely lucky. Like, again, my spouse just lost their job. We're a single income family, and like, our ground is shaky, but like, I've still benefited enough that like, we're in a spot where we'll manage compared to all of my other peers, both my spouse's coworkers and frankly friends I have in the government that are suffering the same fate. That I don't know how they're going to make it, and it makes me feel guilty as sin. Like like I did work hard, but it's also like I got lucky, like to still be here. Like there shouldn't be survivor guilt with just living. Like it shouldn't. Like Americans deserve better. Shit. Inverted. That is a damn. That's a good metaphor. Fuck, dude. Can I steal that? Can I steal that one, man? Please? Can I have that? Can I have that metaphor? That is good. Can I steal that? If you say yes, I'm posting that to Blue Sky. God damn, that is good. That is really good. Shit. That point has no business being as apt as it is. Shit. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Shit. God, I'm stealing that. God, that's good. Hold on, let me see if I can USA. Oh, come on. Yu-Gi-Oh's not in the fucking language auto spelling. God, autocorrect. God damn. Thank you. I appreciate that one. I love that one. Thank you. All right, let's finish up Phil. We're almost done.
The calling upon women to fill the vacant positions in the workforce while the men were overseas during the war. And so each of these Rosies, they received a personal tour of the museum where they were given a hero's welcome, and they were even stopped several times by museum patrons.
Another example of like government is a jobs program.
Most of whom either are,
but it's only okay when we're doing like military stuff and killing people. Jesus.
During World War II. Like Jane Tucker, for example, a 97-year-old woman who left rural Alabama in 1947 with her mom and her sister to work in a shipyard as a welder. Telling NPR, I worked in Savannah, Georgia, building Liberty ships, and I learned to become a welder when I was just 16. It was all top secret. Loose lips will sink ships. And adding, the men said we couldn't do it. They said,
agreed.
Oh, they're too emotional. They're too petty. They'll be sick.
All the inflation we're suffering right now is just
So we
it's
said
just
we
greedflation.
It's
just
Avila, who was only
lying
15
economics.
She started working as a riveter on B-25 bombers, saying, from inside the wings, that's where I used to work. I was little enough I could crawl in the wings. But they're then going on to share that she was motivated to serve after her brother was drafted and sent overseas, and saying that when she was turned away by an army recruiter because of her sex, she went to work for the defense plan. And with that saying, it was freeing and noted.
Hey, all 4 viewers, except for Inverted, because I know you are. If you're liking and you're watching, hit subscribe and follow. I appreciate it.
Factory in Baltimore, saying,
bring your friends. Tell your people.
We could go in a
There's
dining
an
hall
angry
white
man complaining about
worked on the federal jobs.
Like the other dumbass white men.
Wanted to win the war. And then, with all this, at the end of the tour, the Rosies were awarded with the Congressional Gold Medal, which is the highest honor that the U.S. can give to a civilian. With the Gary Sinise Foundation's vice president saying, oftentimes it's the soldiers who are really paid attention to, as they should, and these women are often forgotten. But then adding, we're here to remind them that we do not forget them and that they really are truly critical and wonderful. What they did was very, very appreciated. And the foundation's work actually goes beyond just a celebration. And according to NPR, they're also working to collect the oral history of these women for the archives in the museum, meaning that these stories and the spirit of Rosie the Riveter, they will live on. And so while it is definitely not as prestigious as a Congressional Gold Medal, these women are absolutely our BAMFs of the day. And I think I can speak for everyone watching that we thank and appreciate
like, I got friends that would argue I'm a person of color, but they would do it very jokingly, like as a big joke. Well, I'm not going to give them any reason to try. Like, listen, like the shit I say, they would love to put me onto a plane to El Salvador, and I would be like prime ribbed in that fucking gulag. So I would like know that, yeah. Let's keep saying I'm white. Like you know, it's God. God, this country's fucking up.
these amazing, amazing women. But then finally today, I got to give out a congratulations. And then let's talk about y'all's comments on yesterday's show, starting with a congratulate.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, we're done with Phil. I don't do his comments section. I appreciate what he's trying to do, but no, we're good. We're gonna jump onto some more videos. Ooh, let's watch about David Pakman talking about Tesla sales collapse. Vanta, if you're in, we got some Tesla news.
We are witnessing the unraveling of Tesla in real time, and it is completely self-inflicted. Tesla just reported a 13%.
Fun fact, Tesla's only had like $7 billion in profit. So how is this son of a bitch worth $250 billion?
Year-over-year decline in vehicle sales for Q1 2025.
I love Tesla.
I am glad to say, had I re-upped and gotten a new Tesla lease in January, I would have contributed to slightly better numbers. And boy, am I glad that I didn't, and I got rid of that thing as soon as I could and went in a different direction. This is
when you
the
say we
worst
subsidize
order
people
for Tesla in
How so?
3 years. They delivered just over 300,000 vehicles, below analyst expectations.
God
and
damn
it
it.
is continuing
Yeah,
a
always
trend
with the damn
that is
bot.
getting worse every month. Do not let people tell you this is because.
So my job requires me to be familiar with vehicles, and I'll tell you, like, there are still a lot of Teslas out on the road. I'm actually surprised the numbers are that low. I'm glad it is, and it's going to keep getting lower, which is good. But like, there are a lot of Teslas out there in circulation now. So I'll say this: there's a factor of the sales that Elon is completely failing to consider, and Tesla themselves is barely even beginning to address, is that the body styles are woefully dated. Like, there have been no updates. Like, the Model 3 is the exact same body style it was at launch. There's a generational update, but no standard consumer is going to know the difference. The Model S, there was a Gen 1 to Gen 2 update, but even the Gen 2 update was like 6 years ago. And it's like, in the car business, you need to be improving on and changing your designs, making your cars unique. Like you see it with Hyundais, you see it with Toyotas, Hondas. Like, the designs change and vary every 4 to 5 years to give you something different. To make it like stand out. And these cars, their designs are being very dated. The Model Y has a refresh model that's come out, and it's not that great. Oh, we subsidized Tesla. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Oh, okay. I thought you were like wandering the shores of a foggy Japanese peninsula and you found a bunch of abandoned boats for a second. I'm like, damn, that's like the start of a fucking, like, are you in Silent Hill right now? Like, shit. Yeah, you had me geeking for a second. Inverted. Let me tell you something. I appreciate your split attention. Thank you. Like, I'm not even on my phone right now, but that's how exhausted I am. So I admire your ability to play and entertain on the chat. So thank you. Let's finish up with what Pacman's going on about how Tesla sucks ass.
Everybody hates electric vehicles, and electric vehicles suck. No. Electric vehicle sales continue to grow.
EVs are great. EVs are really great.
And it is because he has made himself completely radioactive. There was a time when Elon Musk was seen as a quirky visionary when it came.
Full disclosure, I used to love Elon. Like, but we're talking like 8-10 years ago. And like, he seemed very intelligent. I never thought he was like a defining, like, Einstein level genius the way he thinks of himself. But I thought he was, again, like David said, a visionary. Like, he was bringing attention to the benefits of having EVs, of electric cars, of expanding that infrastructure. But slowly, like, he unraveled that image to me immensely. Same thing with everyone. The starting point was when he called the rescue diver a pedophile. That was insane. And that really pissed me off. But I was still like, okay, he's having a dumbass moment. Yeah, true. Yeah. So, to be fair, the ones prone to exploding are the Cybertrucks. Those are the big boom booms. But, yeah, they all have issues. But yeah, even after the pedophile incident, like realizing that he was destroying high-speed rail as a concept for the country for 10 years, all of his profiteering off of the American tax dollar, what's another good one? He's never invented anything. His one patent to his name is a proprietary adapter for the Tesla charging cable, and that's just meant to limit people from being able to use them, which is what he tried to do with the Tesla supercharging infrastructure, was prevent it from being used by other EV charging. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't just monopolize like all EV charging capacity in the nation, especially given you're not, you may be the biggest game, but you're not the only game. You can't, like, we have antitrust for a reason. He barely got slapped down with that. And then all the stock manipulations before the purchase of Tesla, like the shit he was doing, he was just being like cringy edgelord shit. And like, you can see him in the thumbnail, Mr. Cheesehat, dumbass motherfucker. It's ridiculous. And then like the buying of Twitter, the doing to Twitter what he's now done to the federal government 100 times over. Like, those employees didn't deserve that. Just walk in there, fire 90% of them, and then make a shit product. Like, and now he's just a Nazi now that wants to steal as much money as he can from the American people. So fuck him.
To electric vehicles. And he did a lot to advance EV and battery technology and mainstream electric vehicles. This was years ago. He's now just divisive. He's not just running Tesla anymore. He's sort of the main character in a nationwide backlash movement called Tesla Takedown.
Another good
People
example inverted. Thank you.
Because of his extreme political alignment, particularly this disastrous Doge collaboration. Maybe we'll call it Doggy. The Doggy collaboration with Donald Trump. And that includes the layoffs. That includes gutting social programs, harassing public workers, all of it. Put this in a context where Musk previously amplified white nationalist talking points on X, and he is now trying to play both tech genius and political attack dog, and his company isn't doing well. Tesla stock is down big. They've wiped out hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap. Elon Musk personally, depending on the day, depending on how the stock's doing, has lost about $100 billion. Tesla sales in Europe are down 43%, even though EV sales overall are up. China, as I told you last week, is looking very grim because of a suspended self-driving test for Tesla that's going on there. And meanwhile, General Motors doubled their electric vehicle sales year over year. So this is not an EV.
I mean, I'm just like inverted. I'm just loud, man. I've only got 3 viewers. One of them's you. Well, no, I've got 4 technically, but I think the one in the kick stream's a bot. Like, I'm just doing it until, like, I catch on. I mean, that's what Hassan did when he got started. I'm aping his shit. Like, again, I'm loud. I like to rant. Like, I'm not like one of those wannabe... Is my mouse button sticking? I hope it's not sticking. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm not one of those, like, wannabe pseudo-intellectuals like Ben Shapiro or Tim Cook. Tim Pool, not Tim Cook. Tim Pool. Yeah, no, it was absolutely like, he's like, I was just throwing my heart out. And it's like, no, dude, you were doing a Nazi salute. I use this example a lot. Elon, he is a Nazi now. He is just a Nazi. Like, he has worn the trapping. He has become the thing. Have you ever seen the other guys? Where Mark Wahlberg's Detective Terry, like, learned how to dance and interpret art to make fun of, like, as the movie puts it, make fun of the poof and the fairy down the street. Like, he ironically learned how to dance and critique art to make fun of someone. And it's like, that's what happened with Elon. He ironically became a Nazi because he wanted to be liked and funny. And it's like, well, you're neither of those things. You're just a Nazi now. Like, so here's the thing. Like, I do agree with everyone that he's using K. He's definitely overusing it with, like, a lot of his habits. it's not just K though. Like there's clearly other drugs in use here. I don't even know if he smokes weed that often. Like from the look of him, like he's doing some like uppers and downers at the same time. It's wild. Like it can't just be K, because again, like while he might be and probably is in a K hole, like by sheer virtue of like time, he would find he should be able to find his way out of it, but he's not. He's going further and further into what is likely a K-hole amongst other things. And like, I don't just think because of like what he's doing with the government, but like how he's handling his baby mamas now is just bizarre.
Problem. This is an Elon Musk problem. This is a Tesla problem. Now, the violence that we have seen at Tesla showrooms and the property destruction, vandalism, arson, etc. I'm against
God
all
damn
of
it, there's
that.
something sticky on my
I'm in
mouse.
favor
Fuck
of
me.
peaceful protesting, holding signs, boycotting, all of that stuff. To the extent anybody's burning
I'm there every
vehicles,
weekend I can
I'm
be.
against that. By the way, we still
Look at him
don't
just hiding
really
behind his
know
kid.
who's doing the burning in the sense
Where's
of
your 13
there
other
are
kids,
allegations
Elon?
that it's Soros-funded, whatever. There's no proof of that. Others are saying these are provocateurs from the right trying to make the left look bad. I also haven't seen proof of that. I don't care who's doing it. That I'm against. But people saying this is capitalism. This is a
Hey,
sort
as
of
someone
free
with
market,
kids, like,
and I am going
you
to
know,
do
like,
what I think is most aligned.
I love my kids, but like, I'm not going to have I would, if I had more than like 3, I would be terrified of not being able to be there enough for them. Like not being able to love them enough, like not being able to show up enough for them. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. No, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what you're right. You're hitting that hammer on the head perfectly tonight. Thank you. God bless. But yeah, like I couldn't see myself ever having more than 3, because I would want each of them to know like how special they are, that they're their own person, that I love them, that I want to be there for them in every way that I can be. And meanwhile, Elon, like, my son Xavier is dead. This 14 child is likely not mine, but I will give his mother $3 million to shut up. Like, it's like, dude, you're a monster. Like, you don't, they're people, they're children, they're your blood. They're going to grow up to be their own persons. And it's like, yeah, baby factories. He's just like, oh, Ashley, I want to get you pregnant again. I want to knock you up. And it's like, dude, like, call your daughter and apologize. Like, I get, like, we only know about like the tertiary kids. There's like 8 kids in the middle that like nobody talks about. And Grimes being like, Elon, our child is having a medical episode. Please call me. I need you. And he's just like, oh, Joe Rogan, I'm such a victim. And it's like, shut up. Get some fucking therapy. Liquidate all your shit and move to Antarctica and just take your kids and their families with you, and like, I don't know, like, just back off, man. You're not going to Mars. You're not going to live forever. Just get over yourself. God, I can't imagine being like in my 50s and going crying to my mommy all the fucking time like he does. Yeah, like that's how he treats them. Like Emma Vigeland said it best. He doesn't have children. To him, he has bad product. And it's like, fuck hell, dude. Like, they're people. Like, even if you wanted to build a dynasty, how are you going to build a dynasty when your heirs just fucking hate you? Like, what are you doing?
With my political views, that we must support. That is speech, and that is capitalism. Now we see Trump saying we're going to charge them as domestic terrorists and all of that. It's a disaster. And Tesla's collapse is happening. It is market forces. It is macroeconomics. And it is Elon Musk taking a popular, future-focused company and driving it
Genghis Khan.
proverbially into a political ditch.
I think Genghis Khan liked his kids more than Elon does. Like, all 1,000 of them. I think he legitimately did.
This seems to be, at this point,
he didn't have,
really
like, the
difficult
internet
to
back then,
reverse.
so all he had time to do
People
was,
are now
like,
talking
fucking,
about
like,
Elon.
hang out with his
One,
kids and kill
board
people, you know?
member said Elon Musk should actually step down as CEO. I don't know if he will, but it's all looking very bad. And this is called activism. This is called speech.
Vanta, are you still in here, buddy?
This is called activism. This is called speech.
Vanta, are you still in here,
This
buddy?
is called the market. After researching, writing, refining, The Echo Machine, my book.
I have mixed feelings about David on the whole. Hey. Okay, if you're still here, Vanta, did you watch the Vivian and Hassan interview at all? I think you did. I think you would like it. Like, I thought it was a really good interview. Like, it's so we're gonna I'm gonna tee this up. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and grab a drink real quick. Emma and it's Emma and who? Oh, it's like Emma and Matt. They're gonna talk about parts of the interview where Vivian, Elon's estranged daughter, lovely girl, like very charming, like very humble, and like I would never guess this was Elon's kid. She parts of the interview, she does minor takedowns of her father. I recommend watching the whole interview. I watched it. It was the opposite of Hassan's Grimes interview. Like, the Grimes interview was awful. She is a weird person. Holy shit, is she weird. Like, some of her music is okay. I like the intro to Hilda, but like, she is bizarre. But this interview was the complete opposite of that. Very genuine. Like, Hassan is a phenomenal interviewer. She was very engaging, articulate, and again, does great takedowns of her shit-ass father. So since you're here and Inverted, we seem to be on a good track. We're going to watch this. I'm going to shutter the camera for like 2 minutes. Let's get started on this one when I get back. Because I've already watched the whole interview. I know where everything's going. I'm going to drain it, get a drink, and I'll be right back. So let's enjoy.
Elon Musk has been outed.
Oh, she's great. She is
gamer.
Vanta, she's
right? Matt,
great.
can you explain this to me as somebody who's not familiar with gaming?
So several,
I'll be right back.
A month or so ago, Elon Musk was sort of busted for hiring people to level up his characters in, I think, Diablo or some other type of game like that, and basically got exposed because he tried to do a stream and people watched him play for like 20 minutes and were like, this is very clearly not one of the top players in the world.
Right. Like, the way he was playing made no sense.
It was not optimized. He wasn't like,
given his level, he would not be so clueless about how to play the game.
And this is after, like, a few years ago, his Elden Ring character didn't even have like sort of replenishing flasks that everybody had, like very obvious things that, like, if you actually played this more than just like, oh, I'm a rich guy, I'm going to do like a little bit of gaming. He, for some reason, he likes to say he works 70 hours a week, but also is the world's leading gamer, and you can't do both of those things.
What do you mean? For some reason, it's because he is a complete psychopath liar, but also he has a view of himself like that he is above humanity, that he is some sort of elevated creature. That's why he thinks
you're the richest man in the world already, bud.
Right.
Like, you don't need to be on a leaderboard.
But he's a eugenicist. He wants to like have his be measuring people's skulls. He genuinely thinks that him spreading his DNA to all of his sons, except for he has a daughter who we're about to play, is helping humanity because he thinks that his DNA is so superior. And these are not new views.
No, they're Epstein thoughts.
They are old, extreme, far-right racist views that motivates him, and a lot of ketamine as well. But what was fun is that Hassan Piker had his daughter on the stream. His daughter is trans and has been open about her disdain for her biological father. And she revealed a little bit more information about some of his gaming lies. Here she is on with Hassan.
I can't expose something that I think is really fucking funny, which is the fact that I suspect when I was like 12, he was bronze in Overwatch, and me and my twin weren't. And he would try to constantly get us to play ranked with him, and I'm like 90% sure it was just because we could carry him. And I was like a 12-year-old Hanzo main who was like barely in silver. He was a bronze Torbjorn main. He was fucking dog shit, awful, like god awful. So no, I don't believe the fucking. It's like I am a pro Path of Exile, whatever the fuck. Like, no, the fuck you are not. This is so cringe.
Now, what's funny about Vivian saying this, and go back to Emma, Russ. No, you gotta click the solo. Yeah. Is that Vivian isn't like this massive gamer that's just doing gaming all the time. Earlier on in the interview, it's revealed that Vivian doesn't even know what a Steam Deck is, which is something gamers would know. So Elon Musk's daughter, who
was a casual
video game 12-year-old who Elon used to do better in multiplayer games.
Isn't that the value of having children? They are there to be your supplicants in the video game space.
Now, that part is sort of the part that's made a lot of news in like the gaming circles. This part is even more interesting to me. They're talking about Elon's reputation as like this guy who's going to save everybody. And I just want to play a little bit of this because it shows how they play this old YouTuber who was really into Musk, and Vivian basically says something that we've been saying here, which is that the Mars stuff is a giant
what I missed
for marketing purposes.
Oh, of course.
Give me a minute, I'll show you.
Practical electric vehicles. but wait, the power plants will still have to.
I'm gonna get banned on Twitch for saying.
So well, it's chairman of another company
That's a joke, by the way. That's a joke. I'm
any
joking.
other way. What if it's already too late to curb climate change and the planet is doomed? Oh wow, he's made another company that is single-handedly pushed.
I love how the planet is doomed, yet somehow we're gonna terraform Mars. Like, get out of my fucking ass.
Humanity towards colon. Don't you always?
Oh my God! Not colonizing Mars. That's not happening, people. It's a marketing.
This interview was great. I strongly recommend watching the whole
Do you
thing.
know how long it would take to terraform that thing? It's a marketing scheme that everyone somehow
He'll get the
falls
planet
for.
pregnant.
This is my native language, I promise. That everyone somehow fell for, despite being like debunked by a Google search. Like, are you serious?
He's busting in that planet. He's breaking that crust. You know what I'm saying?
Progressively getting dumber and dumber as a society is one of the things that I yell about quite a bit. But this was, I mean, you're nailing a lot of the reasons why I was always initially annoyed with Elon Musk from the jump because of all of this stuff, where it was like, this is not happening. Like, I remember having these conversations with like the donut media guys who were like car guys, right? And I was like, on paper, I'm supposed to love this person because like, this is supposed to be like a green energy focused person who, but he's not, exactly. I'm saying like on paper, he's supposed to be like leading the charge on renewable energy and electric vehicles, and yet he's such a douchebag.
10 years? 10 years that facade worked? God.
Yeah.
No,
well, I mean, okay, so but all of
there it is.
There it is. And we know that, by the way, this is just like Elon Musk is, and cool hat, Hassan, love it. Shout out to the Knicks. This is how Elon Musk makes money, is he overpromises and underdelivers. And it is the model that Silicon Valley has perfected. There are some Silicon Valley companies that produce actual products, and then there are a little bit less grandiose in the way that they present and market themselves to investors. But
Becky
Elon
again had to
Musk
take
is
care of a
just
kid.
The Theranos lady who ended up being successful and didn't get caught.
Yeah.
He's
Okay. I know I say this shit all the time, but let's say it again. It's physically impossible to earn $1 billion in a lifetime. Physically impossible. Like, for comparison, Walter White had to systematically like destroy Arizona by flooding it with meth over the period of like 2 years, like a drug criminal empire of like the highest quality, to get $100 million, which is 50 American lifetimes of wealth. It's not possible to ever earn $1 billion. It's simply not physically possible. It won't be physically possible for 1,000 years of like inflation. It just isn't. So he doesn't want to get that planet pregnant. But that being said, so like if you ever meet anyone that has or is worth $1 billion, you need to look at them sideways and be like, who did you ruin? Who did you maim? Who did you steal from to get that money that can't possibly be yours? Like, I look at for me personally, the $100 million mark is the mark, like the limit of what any individual should ever have possession of. And like, it's valid. Hold on, kid thing again. One more second. I'll play this again.
constantly promising to shareholders technology that doesn't end up coming about. Part of why Tesla's stock price keeps tanking and why their sales are plummeting in places like Europe, which is a huge problem for him, because if he doesn't hit a certain threshold of sales, he can't sell the carbon credits that he uses to really make money with this company to polluters who go over their allotted kind of carbon quota. That's how he makes money. But if he can't augment that, or I guess basically have enough sales to say, oh, I'm reducing emissions by X amount, then the excess credits that you can...
Sorry, real quick. $100 million. We're joking, right? Because yeah. No, $100 million. That's the maximum any individual should be allowed to have in the American country. In America. I don't know why I said that. I'm so tired. It's $100 million is 50 American lifetimes of wealth. You can't physically spend that amount of money in a lifetime reasonably, but it affords you everything. Food, shelter, any sort of recreation you want to do. You can go anywhere. $100 million. That's the max. I want every billionaire to explain to me why $100 million is not enough money. Why they need billions of dollars. Which, I mean, like, we're getting a little nitpicky, but I mean, shit, listen, let me put it this way. I'll settle for 250 million being the cap if it's actually like the cap. If we take away all the wealth from everyone over 250 million and like use it to pay off low income loans, mortgages, student debt, medical debt, if we take all that money and pay it off towards that, like if that's what the cap has to be, I'll take it. Yeah, that's a step in the right direction, because there's 800 billionaires right now that need to not exist. They cannot be allowed to exist in this country. And I think it's something like 50,000. It's a lot. It's like 50,000 people above 100 million right now. Probably above 250 as well. But like, yeah, they need to be all identified, audited. Yeah, like again, I'm not fighting you on that. Like if that's what we Ooh, Vanta, that's dangerous, but I like it. I like that a lot. Like that's a good one. Like I'm on board with that. I'll get on board with that. Like it's a good idea. Hold that one in the back pocket. I like that. That's interesting thinking. Holding them to account and like ultimately taking back we have to, like, for society to ever work, we have to take back what they've stolen. Like that ultimately does need to happen. But again, like, so just real quick, so like, just to explain where I came up with $100 million, it was two, I identified two examples, and like one's fiction, but then the other one's real. The fictional one was Walter White. It's like, here's what he had to do to get $100 million, like destroy Arizona. Like, and that was just for 100 million. Like, what are the billionaires doing to get in their wealth? And then there was Scott Galloway, which I don't know if you guys have been watching his stuff recently. He's been on a tear. He was on a tear at the start of the Trump admin. He was like, yeah, like, they don't know what they're doing. Like, all of this is bad economic policy. It's hateful. It's ineffective. It will backfire. And he's been saying it for like 6 months, getting increasingly louder and more dire about the warnings. And he is a former business owner, but currently, like, I think he's like a Harvard economics professor. And like, he talks about this stuff and he puts it in the context of like, past societal standings and mechanisms, like social structures, all that stuff. And he's like, yeah, like these people they don't need or earn this money. They're just hurting the economy. And like, he's very self-aware for the level of wealth he has attained. And he stopped. Like, he hit a point and he stopped. Like, and like, that's really what it is. It's like, it's the ability to control your own hunger so that you don't consume the system that's feeding you, which again, we can't trust billionaires to do. Like they're gluttonous, they are ravenous. They will eat our entire society, and there will be nothing left. So that they, in the end, they themselves will starve. Ooh, Vanta, I like. God damn, you two are dropping bangers in this chat. Holy hell! Save that with a billionaire mind virus. Like, oh fuck, Vanta, I like. That is a good one. I'm stealing that one. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna ask. That one's too good not to get shared. That one's gonna get some mileage. Billionaire mind virus. Shit, that's a good one. Fuck, it really is, and it's. My mother, God rest her soul, had a book that said it was called The Billionaire Mind. Like, how do billionaires think and earn their money and make it? Like, maybe you too can have this kind of wealth and success. She never had that. Like, in my opinion, like, she was kind of robbed of a future where she could have been happy and successful because it was always looming over her. Like, it's looming over most Americans. Like, the billionaire mind virus, it's great because it's two parts. It's the part that infects the actual billionaires into thinking they earned it, they deserved it, they should get more, they can take more, it's fine to take more. That's one half of it. The second half of it is, of course, all the people that think they're going to be billionaires. And it's like, there are 800 in this fucking country and 4,000 in this entire planet. Not a single one of them earned that kind of wealth that they have. And you will never be lucky enough to have it because you weren't born into it. There's literally better odds to get struck by lightning twice on the same night than there is to become a billionaire for any American individual. It's fucking insane. God damn it, you guys are dropping great points, fucking amazing points. That's a great inverted. I love the way you said that. If you take the medicine, the parasite will die. That's amazing. But also, real quick, I'm going to add on to that. It's been proven that's not true. They just sit here and cry about it. They're like, the government is unfair and they're taking my money. You're like, they're not going to go anywhere. Like, they're U.S. citizens. They want to stay here. Like, and even if they don't, like, they can only operate out of another country for so long before their own, like, insanity brings them back here to try and, like, America is tempting for billionaires because they can see that there's so much to exploit. And right now, they're exploiting as much as they can. God, Sam put it a good way. Or something, maybe it was one of you guys, the liquidation of the United States right now. And they're getting, like, bargain bin sales deals on, like, everything from the FDA to the SEC. They're just harvesting and pecking at the corpse like vultures of American democracy to have their fill. Even like, God, it's insane. The billionaire mind virus. That's so fucking good. God damn it. You guys are dropping bangers. All right, here. I'm going to finish this video. I'm going to finish my soda, pop my mask back on, and we're going to tackle a few more videos. My spouse wanted me in bed by like 11:30, but I'm gonna push it to midnight tonight because I think we're on a tear. Aw, Vanta. Well, Vanta, I'm really glad you showed up though, man. Like, I hope to see more of you. I keep posting your shit, man. It's fucking A. And I'll see you when I see you. Inverted, it might just be me and you for a little. That's a really good metaphor. Like, and yeah, the two parts of the billionaire mind virus, but that's a good metaphor to add on there. Love seeing you, man. Come in whenever you want. Again, I'll see you in the blue sky, and I try to do these more often, so I'll tag you next time I drop in one. Inverted. Let's finish this. Let's finish this video. I'll pop mask back on. We'll go through a bunch of other. I got a whole bunch of shit lined up that we can tackle. I'll give you options in the next one.
Sell to other companies, that will be moot in Europe. But he hasn't put out a new model of a Tesla that isn't a Cybertruck in many, many years. And in part, that was because he promised, and this was in Walter Isaacson's biography of him, he basically promised that they were going to have self-driving cars and technology available, so they don't.
That's a good one. God damn it!
A Tesla.
This is one of the best chats I've had in a while. This is some good shit.
To buy and newer models. Don't worry, the robo-taxi is just around the corner. And yeah, they've been testing on U.S. streets and sometimes actually just like killing people. but there is no commercially available robo-taxi right now. This is the Theranos lady. He just was more successful at it. And like the Theranos lady, Elizabeth Holmes, I'm just remembering her name, who tricked Henry Kissinger, Elon Musk has tricked a lot of really wealthy, powerful power players in our government. And
It wasn't hard to trick Henry Kissinger. He's a piece of shit.
Yep. Yep.
And here's actually just a little bit more. This is another good thing of Vivian reacting just such like disgust at people glazing Elon, which I just love.
Let's see how this watching anything from the year 2015 is always going to be cringe regardless. But let's see how timely.
Vance is really great. If you're on Blue Sky, give him a follow. He does Tesla posts like that are fucking bangers.
This is like, let's see if this holds up.
Today I'm going to show you one of those people. Someone who is basically a real-life Iron Man, but less of a douche. Fusion reactor.
May his grave never be dry.
Just not being able to take somebody calling him a real life Iron Man.
oh my gosh, well, you know that's how he thinks of himself, right?
Yeah.
He saw the Robert Downey Jr. character in Iron Man and thought that that could be his persona.
And what's so amazing to me is like how freakish Elon looks here, because Vivian could not be more personable. I imagine she's going to be on Hassan's stream more. She seemed to enjoy herself. That Elon calls her his dead son is despicable.
Oh my
We
God.
are taking family values advice from some of the sickest people, most sick in the head in world history, which is what Elon Musk is.
You've said this before, he is not a disappointed father. He is a disappointed customer because he is... But we have no evidence that Elon Musk has ever had sex, by the way.
I don't have a good response to that, Inverted. I'm sorry.
Kids that he has sired were all born
Inverted, are you in the Discord? I think you'd like the Discord. It's filled with a bunch of really nice Australians and a couple of gamers, but like...
you have enough money. Although, you know, it like... I don't know necessarily what the status is of that technology, but it's also funny because the right is obsessed with the idea that IVF is somehow unnatural or abortion is somehow a crime against God, or
well, some of them are.
The idea that surrogacy is, right? I mean, if you're a gay couple and you have the means to use a surrogate and have a baby like that, like Dave Rubin, they think that's just like disgusting and wrong. But when Elon Musk kind of develops a harem of women that are willing to carry his seed so that he can, his sons, so that he can repopulate the earth in his image. I mean,
trying to send.
It's
I hit the copy button. What the hell?
sick and weird.
There should be an alert out for anybody who has IVF like 8 times and does the same gender each time. That's just bizarre behavior.
Well, you can't. There was a documentary on Netflix about this, one guy.
Oh,
that fathered.
I'm very familiar. Like, I'm very familiar with the Iron Man comics. Let's finish this video and I'll go on a rant. I'm trying to send you our Discord link.
Like hundreds of children, and he did so throughout the globe in different continents and sold his sperm in that way. And it's actually a deeply dangerous thing to do because if it's a
Here, join our Discord.
And these
It's got a bunch of leftist Australians who love comics, Warhammer, and Bluey. You'll have a good time, I promise.
People that look like you, and he was doing it in little communities in areas of Europe. That they may actually accidentally have a sexual relationship with their sibling, and that this guy, but this guy, he was also, you know, he was a bit of a nativist, interested in or maybe nativist isn't the right word. It's not the right word. It's a Monday. He like Elon Musk.
Natalist.
A natalist. Jesus, thank you, Matt. Thank you. He's a natalist. But these are people that fundamentally usually are white supremacists too at the end of the day. You don't see a lot of non-white natalists.
Give me the sperm. I know you got the goon juice. Where is it?
Take some phone calls. Morpheus says it's a miracle that Viv turned out to be so cool with the psychotic Musk genes. The apple ended up in a completely different orchard in this case. Well, you know, I'm not somebody that necessarily thinks that genes are fully determinative of people's personalities.
Oh, hell no.
Although, yes, as Spifflo says, I think you mean natalist. Yeah, I think biological determinism
She was raised far away from Elon.
is often a pretty scary road to go down. I mean, there are things that
At
can be
least
passed
recently.
down, like mental illness can be passed down, alcoholism and addiction can be passed down, but I do think that like biological determinism is often a shorthand for pseudoscience and some racism that people engage in often, or bigotry more broadly. It can also lead to ethnic supremacist views.
I would also add, anybody who is simultaneously attacking Medicaid, which covers 40% of all births in this country, 50% of all rural births.
Again, like Americans are going to die in a level that this will make COVID look like again, like it'll make COVID look like the flu.
Not others.
Not others, exactly.
Neoliberals struggle defending abundance gambit. Yeah, Ezra is a mixed bag at best. Inverted, what are you feeling? I've got, let me see here. Got gaming, I've got more politics, this animal, fucking ballsack. I've got Joshua Johnson, but it's a long one. If we watch that, it's going to be the only one. Ooh, I got Big Les season 1. Wait, did I watch? No, wait. I already watched season 1. It's in one of the old streams. We can watch season 2. Same deal. It would be the only thing. How Balatro was made. I had that one teed up for a little bit. This was supposed to be my fun stream. And then, like, again, like, the Nazis decided to, like, F everything. So I haven't been in the best of moods. But, you know, like, we got options. What are you feeling? What do I got here? What is this one? Defunct Land. That's a good one. Steam is downing slop. Let me ask you this. Fun or more serious fare? What are you feeling? Oh. Are you going to bed? I don't want to hold you up if you're going to bed. Like, I'll just... Oh, okay. Let me go through what I had teed up. I talked to my spouse. She said I was getting too loud. I need to be quiet. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of tired of just being mad. Fun? Yeah, agreed. So okay, so we're on the same page. I want to watch the Big Les show, but I want to get like the Aussies in here. Good thinking. Let's check out. Okay, let's watch how Balatro was made, and I'm gonna round it out with something else. I'll pick another fun short one. Dude, if you played Balatro, it's surprisingly good.
Balatro, an indie roguelike
It's
deck
very
building
impressive.
game, took the gaming world by storm. It received universal praise from gamers and critics, sold over 2 million copies just 6 months after its release.
Like, I
and
bought it
even
like
won
8
the
months
Best
ago, and I was
Independent
like,
Game
oh, I'll
Award at
play
the
it when I
Game
play
Awards
it.
in 2024.
And I popped it in, I was like,
Impressive
this is
achievement,
really good.
Especially considering the game, apart from its mesmerizing music and sound effects, was made by only one person. The anonymous creator, who goes by the pseudonym Local Thunk, never anticipated any kind of success. In fact, he only expected about 6 people to buy his game. When asked on Twitter if he foresaw the praise Balatro would receive, he replied, "I was expecting like 4 of my friends and my parents to buy the game, and that would have been awesome. So no, the entire past year has been a series of crazy events." So
He
why
did
did
good.
only
He did
expect
really
to sell
good.
A handful of copies? And how did a lone
It
developer
deserves a
make
story
something that
mode.
turned into a global sensation? Let's dive
Like,
in.
it's very
Local
impressive how
Thunk's
good he
journey
did
into
this.
game development began during his university years. A lifelong dream of creating video games finally started to take shape during his downtime from studying mechanical engineering. Starting with smaller, simpler projects, he quickly discovered how much he enjoyed the process of making a game. This passion led him to make a sudden decision. He dropped out of engineering and joined a computer science program instead. Meanwhile, the developer began working on a more ambitious project, a game he described as a risk-type strategy experience. It featured a dynamic world where countries would spawn with geographically accurate names. It took him 2 years to complete, but the despite his hard work, only a handful of people ever saw the game in action, let alone played it. Local Thunk never shared his games online. They were either personal experiments or creations he shared with close friends and family, people he knew would appreciate them. Success or profit was never a driving force for him. He simply loves the process of making games. The motivation is that I enjoy game development, actually writing the code a lot. Making games for my friends is a way to a kind of an end goal. These are people I've known for a long time, people I think would appreciate and have fun with these projects I've worked on. It's not playtesting, it doesn't need to be tested, just a thing I made. After graduating and getting his first job, Local Thunk continued making games in his spare time. He never pursued a career in the gaming industry, opting instead for jobs doing quote-unquote normal development stuff. Years later, in 2021, his employer told him that he still had a whole bunch of unused vacation days. Rather than planning a traditional holiday, Local Thunk chose to spend December at home, immersed in prototyping and refining a new game project, his idea of the perfect vacation. That project would eventually evolve into Balatro, the game that would change his life forever. Before we move on, I'd like to talk about this video's sponsor, Factor. Eating fresh and healthy food has never been easier.
I don't show other
Breakfast,
people's
often
ads.
played with friends
That's
in high
not
school.
a thing I do.
Big 2 is designed for 2 to 4 players.
If they're not paying me and
by playing poker-style hands
like,
such as pairs,
it's not even just
triples,
that.
and
Like
flush. Initially, his goal was to
not
create an
ethical to
online
show other
version
people's
of
ads.
Big 2, so he could relive those childhood memories.
When I
with
upload
his
these
friends
streams,
during
I put the
pandemic.
links
While
for the
working on
videos
this
in there, and
project,
people
the
can watch
developer
them
stumbled across a
on the
roguelike slot
original
machine
channel if they
game on
want.
Steam called Luck Be a Landlord. He became obsessed with the game, spending hours watching YouTube videos of others playing it. He actually never played it himself, but its unique theme and design captivated him. There were no opponents to fight. The gameplay was simply about numbers getting bigger, and he loved the simplicity and appeal of that concept. Inspired by this, he decided to pivot his project. He dropped the competitive online element and reimagined the game as a single-player experience focused on meeting score requirements. Using a game development framework called Love, the early fundamentals of Balatro started coming together. Creating a functional card game was one thing, but Local Thunk knew he needed a strong theme to make it more engaging and fun to play. A theme with a distinct identity, rich iconography, and familiar imagery. Poker, with its striking visuals, resonant sounds, and well-known terminology, seemed like the perfect fit. That said, his goal was never to design a game specifically for poker players. In fact, the gameplay intentionally avoids relying on the keys.
Sorry, someone posted. I love how everybody's like, why would a Russian asset crash the U.S. economy?
That define a good poker player, while the early prototypes
I
focused
I
primarily
missed
on
your
mechanics.
messages.
As development progressed, Local Thunk gradually incorporated more
Oh,
poker-inspired elements into the game. Before Joker cards became the main
Billionaires
gameplay
would love
focus,
this game.
the
It's a
core of
great
Balatro
game.
was about leveling up
But
your
yeah, they're just like,
cards,
number go
similar
up.
to
Go
other
up.
Battler games like Super Auto Pets. However, after about 2 months of development, Local Thunk realized the concept just wasn't fun to play. Afterwards, mechanics like Joker cards and being able to skip rounds started to make its way into early prototypes. Interestingly, the developer
It's a
had never
really
played a
beautiful
deck
and
builder
clever
before
game.
releasing
Like, I'm-
Balatro. It was only afterward
The
that he
design
began
is
exploring games in the genre.
great.
During development, he was only vaguely aware of other roguelike deck building games apart from major titles like Slay the Spire. Looking back, he's glad it worked out that way. He's convinced that designs and mechanics from other games in the genre would have influenced his design process and overshadowed his own original ideas. Local Thunk wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel or compete with existing games to sell as many copies as possible. His focus was purely on making a game he himself would enjoy playing. For him, a big part of why developing games is so fun is that he gets to tackle design challenges on his own,
Jesus,
rather than
227,000
borrowing solutions from
subscribers.
others.
And
This
now he just got
self-driven
me.
approach became a defining element of Balatro and its success. 8 months into development, Balatro was
A
still
lot of mobile
unbalanced from a
games are just
gameplay
big number
perspective,
goes up,
was
but
starting
also
to
they're like
resemble the game we know
constantly trying to
today.
get money
However,
out of you, and
didn't
it's
have its
like,
final name yet.
God, it's
Local
so
Thunk had brainstormed
demoralizing.
a
And
variety of
this
potential
one, it's like,
titles, including
it's so
Rogue
much more
Hogan,
simple,
Rogue Poker, Trial of the
and it's
Joker,
so much
Foolish
more
Poker,
just
Hand of the Fool,
grindy, but
Hyperborean Hold'em,
it's
and
more
Cartomancer's
rewarding.
Hold'em. 2 names, Joker Poker and Fool's Gambit, came especially close. Each even had its own menu screen for a while. However, the developer discovered that Joker Poker was already the name of an existing app, and he admits that Fool's Gambit never quite sounded right. More importantly, they never captured the vibe he was aiming for. He eventually
Do you mean like money or like
a term from ancient Rome that refers
like-
to a professional jester,
like
or
giving away,
more
like I
fittingly,
guess
a joker. After working on the
Like
game
just giving
for over
away
a
in
year,
general, or
Thung decided to quit his job and dedicate himself to the project full time. This decision wasn't driven by a belief
I like
that
seeing these
Balatro
early
would
builds of
become
Balatro. I haven't
successful,
even
but
seen these
rather
before.
because he wanted to upload a playable build to Steam. His goal was to include the game on his resume in hopes of finding a job that better suited his interests.
Like, I can't,
with
like,
some savings to support him.
Growing up, like, as a young child, like, I never really wanted, like, my parents were very spoily towards me. Like, when I was a kid. But as I grew up, like, my family life kind of, like, just deteriorated. And then, like, I reached a point in young adulthood where, like, I kind of lost everything. Like, think like eviction, but not, like, as bad as it could have been. And, like, being at that point, like, you start to have, like, this, I don't want to say territorial, but, like, you want to hold on to what little you still have. And, like, it's a desperate kind of feeling to, like, want to protect it and build upon it and, like, have more than what you lost, or, like, have what you lost and, like, make sure it's not going to go away a second time. And it requires a very, like, I'm ashamed to say it, like, a predatory kind of mindset to, like, you're always on the lookout for, like, who's trying to take away from you and how can you get more of what you want. But I personally don't feel like I've ever compromised my morals to have the things I do have. But here's the thing. That's not a mindset, like, someone can just, like, how do I put this? They can't just tacitly endorse that. Like, that is you can't tacitly endorse that. You have to, the minute I start thinking, like, oh, I'm doing okay, like, nobody's suffering because of my actions, is the minute you start, when you don't realize that, when you don't look where you're going, you start treading on people. And I don't ever want to be that guy. And it requires constant, like, review of where I stand in society. Granted, it's a lot easier as the things are right now because of the billionaires. Like, there's so much inequality. Like, to not be tread on in our society, you have to be one of 800 people essentially to not get tread on in any way. But I don't want to become a monster to not get tread on. Like, I want everyone to not get tread on, and in turn, I won't have to worry about getting tread on. So, I guess, like, I'm trying to articulate, like, I also like giving stuff away. But I'm not going to lie, like, my biggest concerns, especially when you have kids, is, like, am I going to be able to get mine to give them theirs? Like, it's like, imagine, like, a bear in the wild. Like, it's like, oh, we only have enough food for the mama bear and the baby bear. Like, isn't it always like the mama bear feeds herself before feeding the baby bear because she can always have another baby bear type deal? It's a balancing act because we're not animals. Like, we have to make conscious decisions, and they should not be taken for granted. And if you're choosing between you and somebody else's, you need to ask yourself, is what you have worth taking away from that other person? And if so, what are you taking it away from them for? Where's it going? Is it going to you? Is it going to your kids? Is it going to your dynasty in the case of billionaires? And it's like you have to show restraint. You have to show self-reflection. You have to hold yourself to account, because there's no natural force in society to hold individuals to account. Nothing natural. It's all societal based. And the people that are too afraid to hold themselves to account, to punish themselves because they've either never been punished or think they don't need to be punished, will change the rules to agree with that point of view. And it's like, no, like, a certain level of wealth is a bad person just by virtue of having, again, $1 billion is 500 American lifetimes worth of wealth. There's no way to earn that. If someone gave it to you or you earned it, that means they took it from someone else or you took it from someone else, and you didn't earn it. You don't deserve it. It needs to go back into society. So Laws exist for those who cannot live without clinging to them. That's a very interesting take. I won't lie to you and say I'm not very exhausted. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down, though. Interesting take. I'm gonna ponder on that one. Let's finish the Balatro video. I'm sorry, but basically I like giving stuff away, but I do so hesitantly until like I know. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely on that second part. But sorry, again, I enjoy giving away too. I just don't want to give away at expense of like, because we live in a capitalist hellscape. I enjoy giving away, but I'm always cautious because I don't want to give away so much that I truly have nothing or that I can't give to my family first. But again, I don't have one American lifetime's worth of wealth. I don't have anywhere near that. So my issue of giving is nowhere near what a billionaire's issue of giving. And you're right about the laws. Pam Bondi is calling to kill Luigi Mangione for doming Brian Thompson. That complete monster. And that racist that killed all those people in Texas, 23 people, is getting life. And it's like two justice systems. And it's like, I'm sorry, if you think we're taking the message away that like Brian Thompson's death was a bad thing, like you're telling us like that we need to hate justice because justice is a tool of the billionaires. So, sorry, let's finish Balatro.
For a while, he took the leap to focus entirely on finishing up his deck builder poker game. Although the core gameplay loop was already very enjoyable, Local Thunk felt the game needed more variety. This led to the introduction of modifier cards, which became the Planet and Tarot cards, as well as the ability to add more unique cards to the standard
Balatro is so well put together.
Furthermore, expanding the collection of Joker cards became something of
I
an
love
obsession.
seeing this
The
like
developer loved
initial
drawing in
version
his
of the
spare
game. It's
time,
great.
So coming up with new Joker art became a fun creative outlet when he wasn't busy coding.
The Jokers
When
are
it came to
great.
the
They're
effect of
very
each
simple
Joker
and well
card, It
designed.
was important to keep things simple and balanced. Therefore, Local Thunk came up with a few rules for designing the Jokers. First, Joker cards need to synergize with a broad range of game elements. For example, an effect that multiplies the score of played face cards works well because it can apply to many cards in any given run. If a Joker card only synergizes with another specific Joker, the rarity of that happening would make for a frustrating experience. Additionally, Joker card descriptions have to be short, ideally no more than 4 lines of text. If an effect takes too long to describe, it probably doesn't have a broad enough synergy anyways. It's also important to the developer that choosing between Joker cards is always
It's
a
the
tough
perfect
and meaningful
peanut butter and
decision
chocolate
for the
blend
player.
of simple
To
and
achieve
complex
this,
in a
Jokers
game
with more
design.
powerful effects
It's
were
beautiful.
designed to be conditional. For example, the driver's license Joker provides a 3x multiplier, but only if the player has at least 16 enhanced cards in their full deck. To balance these high-impact conditional Jokers, Local Thunk included more quote-unquote boring but reliable Jokers. Otherwise, players might find themselves overly constrained
It's
by
very
too many
impressive that he did
conditions.
this.
Lastly, Jokers can only work in tandem with existing mechanics and should never introduce new ones, not only to avoid more and more mechanics creeping
God,
its way
he's
into
smart.
the game,
God
but also
damn.
to avoid diluting synergies. Local Thunk didn't just iterate on the Joker cards, he also continuously refined the game's visual style. One day, on a whim, he added a CRT filter to the game. From there, he began incorporating more surreal effects, such
The
as
CRT
a swirling
filter was
background
great.
and gyrating cards. With each edition, the visuals started to feel increasingly cohesive, creating a unique aesthetic that tied the game together. He describes it as a very
Inverted. If you
organic
play Balatro,
evolution,
it's-
as he never
I recommend
intended
it, man.
to
It's
make
really
a
great.
quote-unquote cursed interdimensional poker machine. In July 2023, after 18 months of development, the creator was happy enough with the state of the game to release a demo on Steam. However, he had no expectations that anyone would download it, let alone enjoy playing
Gyrate.
it. He did virtually no marketing beyond creating a simple short trailer. He didn't email anyone, didn't invest in social media ads, nothing like that. To his surprise, Twitch creators like Retromation and Dan Giesling discovered the demo and streamed their very positive first impressions. That marked a turning point. As more more people began to play and share their experiences, feedback started pouring in, something Local Thunk hadn't anticipated and wasn't quite prepared for. Taking it public 100% was the biggest challenge. You know, I've made games for so long, and I've also had another game that I've worked on for about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, and I never told anyone about that game. And all I think about is just how fun it was for literally the entire time I was working on it. No pressure, I could do whatever I wanted with it at whatever time frame I wanted. And as soon as I went public with this game, I wasn't expecting there to be chatter all the time and pressure to do things. And if there's a bug, you need to fix it, and criticism. Because none of that stuff really is why I wanted to make the game in the first place. I just love making games. All that stuff seemed almost like a means to an end.
He really should make a sequel with a story.
Steam. So since it went public, I think dealing with that side of it has been the biggest challenge in the entire development cycle. Local Thunk could hardly believe what was happening, but he decided to seize the opportunity to improve the game based on player feedback. This process became a crucial factor in shaping the retail version of Balatro. Over the next 7 months, he introduced new content, including additional Joker and Tarot cards, released an updated demo on Steam, and carefully examined the influx of feedback to refine the next demo. One recurring piece of feedback was that certain Joker cards were overpowered, while others were too weak or unappealing, leading players to avoid picking them. While the creator took much of the feedback into account, he didn't blindly implement
which is why we're all eager for the next round.
Was still to create a game that
someone said on Blue Sky how we should have a parliamentarian system, and it's like, yeah, we should. We're supposed to have 2 to 3 times the number of representatives in the House that we have, and we don't, because this country refuses to move with the times.
Was to better facilitate seated runs. He describes it as one of the biggest learning moments in the game's development. Initially, he used seats solely to simplify saving runs for players. Almost as an afterthought, he decided to make the seed codes visible. To his surprise, players quickly embraced the idea of playing and sharing seeded runs with each other. Although he didn't personally find seeded runs appealing, not in Balatro nor in other roguelike games, he was curious to understand the community's excitement. After talking to players in the official Balatro Discord, the developer made adjustments to improve the way seeds work. Meanwhile, Local Thunk partnered with PlayStation.
I mean, that's what the Republicans say, yeah.
Testing and localization. For the first
again,
time
like
since
parliamentary,
games,
a parliamentarian government,
actual money
like that's the way to go.
A decision he described
but of course,
as a nervous
fuck
experience.
us.
He turned to Fiverr to find a talented musician to compose the game's soundtrack. After exchanging messages and ideas, he connected with Louis F., who proved to be the perfect fit. Louis went on to create the game's mesmerizing and widely praised soundtrack. When the game became a huge success,
the sound was really good.
The
sound is really good.
How much Louis contributed and comparatively how little he got paid for his work in hindsight. To make things right, Local Thunk drew up a contract ensuring that Louis would receive 100% of the revenue from the soundtrack on Steam. The developer said that he's more than earned it. In February,
and see, like shit right there, like Bezos and Zuck and Bill Gates would have all fucked him in the ass to like keep the money for that. Like this is real stuff. Like this is real, like Balatro or democracy, because Balatro is great, and this guy, the guy who did this video, that guy Glenn and Local Thunk, great guys, just solid dudes.
A little over 2 years after development began, Balatro was released on PC, followed by console and mobile ports a few months later. The game received universal praise from both critics and gamers, and suddenly it felt like everyone was talking about Local Thunk's trippy poker-inspired creation. Even Black Mirror creator Charlie Brooker commented how Balatro is, quote-unquote, possibly the most addictive thing ever created. Unfortunately, the game's addictive nature became a point of controversy. Shortly after its release, it was pulled from several digital stores outside the United States. Without prior warning, the PEGI ratings board changed Balatro's age rating from 3+ to 18+, due to a belief that the game contains quote-unquote prominent gambling imagery and material that instructs about gambling. It completely blindsided Local Thunk and publisher PlayStack, especially since the issue had already been addressed.
But also, real quick, I remember the PEGI thing. It's like there's no gambling in here. There's no money, like at all.
An 18+ rating, but after an appeal, it was lowered to 3+. No content had been altered since then. PlayStack strongly refuted the decision, emphasizing that Balatro,
like I have it on my computer, but it's under a different login.
The ratings change completely unfounded. Local Thunk himself is firmly opposed to gambling practices.
I mean, that's weird, right? like since
considered
it's, like
implementing
isn't really the only thing in the
microtransactions or
Nether
allowing
anymore, the
players to
Nether
spend
Dragon,
extra money in the game in any
the Ender
other
Dragon.
way. By March 8th, Balatro returned to most digital stores, but the 18 plus
weird,
rating
right?
remained in place. It's unclear for now if the rating will
Maybe
be
they'll
lowered
talk
to
about it
4
in the
plus
movie.
again. Despite the age rating issue, Balatro generated an astonishing $1 million in gross revenue within the first 8 hours of release. In just 10 days, it sold 500,000 copies, a figure that grew to 2 million within 6 months.
Jesus, Local
At the Game Awards in 2024,
Local Thunk became a
Balatro
millionaire
won several
overnight.
awards, including Best Debut Indie Game. Moreover, it won the Best Indie Game Award at the Golden Joystick Awards. It's the kind of success story most
Wait, then why?
aspiring
Okay,
game
okay.
developers
I
can
was
only
thinking
dream
about the
of.
Ender Dragon.
Yet,
My bad.
despite all
I
his
don't know
hard
why I was
work,
thinking about
Local
that.
Thunk attributes much of his success to luck. That original
It's weird that it
idea
has
was,
wood and grass
I put
though. Is it
no
all
thought
burnt?
into it. I looked into it. After analyzing Balatro for 2-ish years, I now know that was something that people really focus on, try to get right and iterate on. The original idea, the technical alpha idea, make a game in 3 days, see if the concept works. I didn't do any of that. I just started working on something that was like, that would probably be fun. While Local Thunk is deeply grateful for Balatro's success, which enabled him to turn his passion into a career, he's determined not to let the game define his identity.
It's not just a
This is
career,
part of
like
the
he's a
reason he
millionaire
chose to
now.
create
He's a
the pseudonym
multi-millionaire.
Local Thunk. It allows him to maintain a life outside of the game's success. He believes the separation is healthier in the long run. For now, it seems Local Thunk is far from finished with Balatro. He has already released 3 free updates featuring
I'm not gonna lie to you,
cosmetic art
Inverted. I
skins
don't have
inspired
the
by fan-favorite characters
like. I'm
from
old
games
now.
like The
Again,
Witcher,
I'm
Cyberpunk
graying.
2077, The
Like,
Binding of Isaac, Stardew
it sounds
Valley,
interesting
and
what
more.
you're saying about
Additionally,
the
a
current
major
go with
gameplay update
Minecraft,
is
but
planned
like
for
I don't have it
2025,
in me
promising
anymore.
to introduce new
I'll check
ideas
out
and
like the custom
strategies to
maps, like the
game.
guy that
Given
made
his
that
focus on
64-bit
expanding
computer.
Balatro,
That's
it's
interesting.
no surprise that the developer hasn't started working on any major new game ideas
wingsuit?
just yet. That said, it doesn't mean he hasn't been thinking about the
I appreciate that you
possibilities.
appreciate it,
Local
but like
Thunk is
I'm
confident that his next development journey will go much
I'm
smoother
kinda tapped
now
out
that
on
he's
that.
learned which pitfalls to avoid.
Right now, I'm in a
and
mech
exposed to
warrior
so
hole
many
that I'm
best
kind of
practices
trying
in
to get
game
out
design
of.
techniques. However, he also believes that his experience
I have a
with
whole bunch of like
Balatro could
older
have a
games I want to start
downside.
streaming,
He
like
worries it might make him
War
more
for Cybertron and
inhibited, with a
shit.
tendency to be overly rigid about the kinds of design spaces he's
but
willing
again,
to
it's a matter of
explore.
time.
Whatever his next project turns out to be, he's already excited about one aspect, telling absolutely nobody about it until it's finished. That way, he can return to what he loves most about being a game developer, the pure joy of creating. When asked by Game Informer if there was anything he wanted to say to fans of Balatro, he gave the following answer. The thing I'm the most proud of is the fact that I've just even got to the finish line at all. But you know, the fact that people love this game so much and they're so invested in its future and wanting to improve it and design ideas, they've kind of allowed me to turn this into a career. It's a career that I really want to do forever. I'm grateful that they've been able to afford that opportunity for me and that they keep playing Balatro, keep getting those high scores.
Solid guys. Okay. What else do I have in me? Ugh, no. My Australian friends wanted me to watch this one, but I found it before they did. Remember, protests April 5th all across the country. You go to your capital, mask up so they can't identify you. Let's see what Jim Cramer screamed about with Kyle Kulinski.
All right, guys, so we've now reached the point where CNBC hosts are going after Trump. Now, the reason why this is rare is because CNBC is low-key just as bad as Fox News is. Fox News is more overtly pro-Republican, more overtly pro-MAGA, but the financial networks are horrendous for the simple reason that they're basically stenographers to the CEO class in this country.
Yeah,
They represent the robber barons, they represent the wealthy, they represent Wall Street, and they do it like openly so. So they are just as bad as Fox News, just in a slightly different way. But normally they're all rah-rah Republicans because they want more regulation, more free markets, more tax cuts for the rich. They believe in the myth of trickle-down economics. So here we have one of the prominent CNBC hosts, Jim Cramer, who
Jim
turns
Cramer's
on
a
Trump.
piece of shit.
So let's break it down. Overall, it's good that he's turning on Trump, but of course the specifics of his argument are just fucking out to lunch. So let's watch and we'll break it down.
BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, who writes an annual chairman's letter required reading for anyone in the markets, wrote some fateful words today, quote, I hear it from nearly every client, nearly every leader, nearly every person I talk to. They're more anxious about the economy than any time in recent memory, end quote. I come back and say, I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. But let's think about what that really means for you and me. We have declining inflation, except the president's putting on inflationary tariffs.
True. We have declining inflation, but the president's bringing back inflation with the tariffs. True.
Incredibly low unemployment, except where it's caused by the Trump administration. We have a more...
True. They fired anywhere from 100,000 to 250,000 government workers, veterans, disabled veterans, destroying Department of Health and Human Services, destroying the Department of Education, destroying the VA. True. But also, by the way, now it's starting to tick up in the private market too. And I know that just through anecdotal evidence, but it's coming.
Market that was doing extremely well last year until the Trump administration sowed a level of uncertainty that I can't recall any time since. Are you ready, Ski Daddy? Jimmy Carter.
I don't think you truly understand how big of a slight that is, what he just said about Trump. To compare Trump to Jimmy Carter is despised by the right because under him, we had stagflation. We had an oil crisis, right? There was a confluence of events under Jimmy Carter, which was very unfavorable, right? And so he's generally...
yeah.
Since he left office...
I want to gargle.
He actually cares about Palestinians and calls out the Israelis. He did Habitat for Humanity. He cured guinea worm through his foundation. So he's one of the best people we've had as presidents. But his presidency had a lot of things go very wrong. And in right-wing circles, it is an article of faith. This guy is the worst president maybe ever. And
we just jumped up to 4 viewers.
Yeah, Trump's reminding me of
I don't know who we got in here, but thank you for coming in, like and subscribe. The stream is actually going to be ending soon, but enjoy while we're watching.
Back then, stagflation was real. Now, Jimmy Carter, curious benchmark. Break out the cardigan sweater. I know it's a brutal comparison. You think I did it idly? I cannot think of another president in my lifetime who could knock down the stock market simply by opening his mouth than Jimmy Carter. Eureka! I have found him.
Oh. He's saying, bro, Trump, when you open your mouth and start rambling about the economy, the market fucking falls off a cliff because you are the king of uncertainty. You are the king of chaos, and the market relies on certainty.
So let's look at it this way. Everything about this economy is good. Everything, except one thing.
See, this is where the
right-wing
it's
a lot of
comes
things.
in, right? This is where
it's not just one thing. It's a lot of things that Trump is doing.
You dumb bitch. There's massive inflation in housing and
U.S.
healthcare and education.
U.S. faces payment default risk in August. That's great.
And what you mean is everything's good for the CEO class. That's what you mean.
We have a president who's very angry at everyone except Vladimir Putin. Oh, no, maybe even Vladimir Putin. And his...
I always find it weird when some people... Putin. I say Putin, right? I don't know.
Like, I feel like Jim Cramer had a stroke like 12 years ago.
Has made
But he,
so
like, no one's
downcast
told
so
him.
negative that people have just given up.
And they just wheel him out to, like,
nothing to do with
rant.
stocks, nothing to do with this world. Because they're sure the White House will keep laying on the tariffs that seem to be wiping out your wealth and my wealth. In this environment, it's
Tesla.
anyone's buying anything, unless they think that the one person who's standing in the way
It's all
of the great
computer.
economy, one that could have incredible growth with lowered inflation, lower oil prices, less regulation, more confidence, will finally change the stripes. If Trump can lose the anger, drop the scowl, stop diminishing our friends and rivals while making common cause with our enemies, and generally start acting like he did in his first term.
Oh, my God.
He didn't do anything good in his first term.
Being who he is.
You know what? No, there was one thing.
Everything he's ever said.
I can't remember what it was. I remember being like, okay, that's the one good thing he did.
He's like, oh, stop messing with our allies.
But then after that, it was just
he's messing with
more
Canada,
disaster.
Greenland, Denmark, Panama. Like, he's saying he's going to tariff the EU also. Like, he's going after all of them. If you could just not do that thing that you did like 18 times yesterday for 18 different countries, we'd appreciate that. Like, how do you think this is going to have any impact whatsoever?
Well, that would be huge for the stock market. As far as the stock market is concerned, though, we need less Jimmy Carter, more Ronald Reagan. Bottom line.
Oh, my God.
More Ronald, yeah. I don't think this country can survive more Ronald Reagan.
Bro. The problem is just the tariffs. That's what he's saying. No, the problem is not.
That might have been the one that I'm thinking about. Like, there was...
The tariffs are part of the problem.
And that was the one that, like, that Kim Kardashian was petitioning him about.
It's
like, she's like, please save the black people, please.
Effectively raising taxes on the bottom.
Like, I'm all for that too, Kim, but also, like, you're also very problematic yourself, Kim.
Alienating the entire world, including our allies, is going to be a gigantic problem because we're the world reserve currency and people are going to be looking for the fucking door.
Hold on.
So for him, like, this is hey, just be a regular asshole Republican, not a unique asshole Trump Republican. That's basically what he's saying.
Maybe Wednesday is a de-liberation day. It's just the day when American investors may be finally liberated from the president's not-so-pro-business attitude once he gets the tariffs out of the way.
The classic Jim Cramer dead wrong prediction. This guy's been wrong about everything. I think what he's saying there is like, bro, maybe after Liberation Day, the markets will calm down because the bad thing will be out of the way. No, it'll spook people more, and it'll lead to horrible economic implications. All right, now, by the way, just to show you how this guy is the king of wrong, here's what he said before the election.
If you care about your paycheck, you go with Trump. If that's what you do.
You do?
Yeah, well, he wants to cut your taxes.
Oh, he wants to cut taxes.
Your taxes.
My taxes got raised enormously.
If you care about your paycheck, you go with Trump. That is not true for 95% of
In that instance, okay, like she didn't do anything wrong in that instance. Kim is problematic for a lot of other.
That's all he really cares about.
Like she did some Tesla ads recently too, yeah. So she's not off the hook. She's off the hook for that one, not for the other stuff.
On CNBC, given that
random aside, it occurred to me. So Volodymyr Zelensky did Servant of the People, the show before he became the actual president, which is about him playing a high school teacher that makes a rant about the Ukrainian corruption and becomes the president of Ukraine, ironically. It has 51 episodes, and she did, but like, I don't trust her. Which is good. I'll put it this way. When I look at Kim, I see someone that needs to be like, I'll say this. I'm not going to go after her. Like, I've got bigger targets in mind right now. But like I'm watching, keep my eye out. But no, unrelated. Volodymyr Zelensky did a show, Servant of the People, before he became president of Ukraine, which was about him as a high school teacher going on a rant and accidentally getting elected as president of Ukraine. It has 51 episodes, 3 seasons. I looked up who owned it. It's a production company that he founded. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, I wonder, like, would I be, like, let me ask you this. Volodymyr Zelensky. But no, let me ask you this. Would I be wrong to, like, stream that show? Like, all 51 episodes? Not in a row, but, like, an episode a stream? Like, would that be wrong? Like, I'm not worried about copyright, like, because he's the one that owns it. It's a Ukrainian show. Nobody's watching it or talking about it over here, but I feel like it's something that's, like, worth watching. And, like, I know Twitch and, like, Kick kind of cracked down on, like, DMCA and shit. It is? Okay, yeah. Interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. Well, Hassan got kicked down for doing, like, kitchen nightmares and shit. But, dude, I'm totally gonna watch Servant of the People. Like, that's, you mark my words, I'm gonna start watching that. Like, I'm gonna do that. Next stream, Servant of the People, and, like, Big Les season 2. So we're going to finish out this Kyle video, and I'm calling it a night. I am burnt out more than I thought I would be. Well, he is, but, like, this was actually when Aiden Ross blew the shit up. That he was watching, like, movies and shit on Twitch for free, and, like, nobody was, he blew up the spot when Hassan was doing Kitchen Nightmares and ruined it for everyone. Because Aiden, I don't want to talk about Aiden. I don't know why he's back on this platform. Here, we're going to finish the Kyle video and I'm going to call it a night. I'm burnt. I'm baking right now.
They are the home of the CEO class and Wall Street. And the thing about what Trump is doing here and what he's orchestrating is this. This massive economic downturn is going to be horrible for 99% of the country. horrible. And I wonder if, because what he's going to do, he's going to orchestrate it so that the top 1% can consolidate more wealth, own more stuff, and the bottom 99% are basically the peasant class to the top 1%. The last two economic downturns we had, that's what happened. More income inequality, a tremendous amount more wealth inequality. The 1%, the robber barons, consolidated a lot. So the recessions that we've had in recent times since '08 have been great for the top 1%. And I think Trump's looking around and he's going, that's what I want. I want to get back to a Gilded Age style. I want the 1% to own everything. I want me and my oligarch buddies to own everything. And so he genuinely doesn't give a fuck about the bottom 99%, right? Here's the thing about CNBC. They care about the top 5%, not just the top 1%, right? So they like the millionaires and the billionaires. They like CEOs of medium-sized companies too. Those people will get wiped out under a Trump downturn also. Because again, only the billionaires, only the robber barons will come out on top. So it'll be interesting what line they take, because it's some segment, some portion of their audience are not just
Billionaires are
top
dams that
5%.
need to burst.
And so will they criticize him more? I don't know. It's possible, because the other thing they want to see is line go up for the stock market, and that is not.
It's a big number.
fucking
I love
happen,
it.
bro.
It's so big.
It is going the other way and going that way fast. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the
Alrighty.
algorithm.
Inverted, I appreciate your commentary tonight. It has been very, you've added a lot to the discourse. Thank you. I appreciate you subscribing again. Tell your friends. Next show, it's going to be Servant of the People, episode 1. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be great. I think, like, again, the whole reason I'm doing these channels is to get my message more out there. And again, I'm dual streaming here in Kick, trying to peel off some of those brain-rotted Aiden Ross and Asmongold followers here and there. But yeah, you have a good night. I'll hit you up later. Oh, and I repost these to YouTube. So if you're in the Discord, I post the links in there. I'm burnt. I will talk to you later. Have a good night, man. If you had a good time, like and subscribe.